I like how fresh you're looking and how expired I am looking.
Probably just there's filters on this thing. It's because I'm in like a old person's background. Makes me look young. Have you been like have you been working your ass off, or what's been going on then?
That has been a theme for the past whatever month.
Yeah.
How long has it been since you moved here?
2, almost 3.
Wow, her time senses is all gone.
Yeah,
It must be 4 months.
No.
Yeah, I mean we've been
No, 4 months? There's no way. 2 months,
Yeah.
maybe.
No, 3 months. I give you guys 3 months.
Split the difference. It just feels
Yeah,
like
right.
it.
Yeah, 2,
Yeah.
3. How much we pay? How I remember.
I feel like we
how
paid
many
3 times for the rent.
Yeah, first time we didn't count because first time it's just
Yeah, sure.
2.
3 really long months.
I mean, you've been locked in, so those that time is like long time.
Man, imagine this. Like, this is a good place.
Yeah.
And we walk downstairs, we walk outside, not outside of the building. We probably left the house a few times with the car, just picked up something from a shop and back. But jail.
Yeah, man. Couldn't do it. Flip out. I mean, even when we were in the lockdown in Oakland, like we had nature stuff we could go, like we could walk around outside. It felt crazy, like, but we had like a fair amount of space. And like you could get out into the woods and stuff. Like, I don't know that I could do it in a city. Yeah, that's got to be nuts. I gotta be able to go somewhere. I start getting crazed.
Yeah.
I mean, I guess if you have a lot of work to do, like winters in like Chicago and sometimes New York were like this, because it would just be in Chicago, especially, it would be like I don't know what that is in Celsius, but 0 degrees Fahrenheit, which is stupid cold. Like you can't go outside. It just sucks. So you're basically stuck inside all the time. And like, yeah, everything's built this, to be cozy and warm. And like, I used to get the best work done during the winters this way, because what are you gonna do? There's nowhere to go.
Exactly. That's why people are so productive in Sweden.
That makes sense.
Right.
There's no light.
Work.
Yeah. Sun doesn't come up for more than like 5 minutes during the winter.
Right. I'm gonna relocate actually.
Okay. Relocate to the other wing of your mansion.
And you're gonna get a glimpse at the camera too. Yeah, there it is.
Hey.
How are you?
Doing well. Better than you guys seem to be doing. Lockdown.
You look very fresh.
What's that?
You look very fresh.
Yeah, that's what Farzad was saying. I think it's just, I don't know. It's the lighting. It's the algorithm. It's cleaning my face up.
No energy. We feel like we gel for a long time.
Yeah, man.
Hopefully
Hopefully it'll agree soon. Yeah.
Long time.
This is a 360-degree of
Of your prison.
the working room. Oh, look at this.
That's good. Oh, it's what is it? What are those masks? They're like samurai masks or something.
Japanese mask. I also don't know the name of them.
Yeah.
Since I was a kid, I always wanted one.
Yeah,
So I got one. And then I had it. I mean, imagine walking into the room and then this is here.
Yeah. Because of this.
And she walked in and she wasn't prepared. She just instantly cried.
Oh, really?
Yeah, just like, and then, I mean, it's very crazy looking if you are, and it's like a handmade, supposed to be a good one. with a probably a note of whoever the owner is stupid.
Yeah. Or the carver, is it like it's hand carved?
Yeah.
Cool. Yeah, it'd be interesting to know the backstory on these. I feel like I learned it at some point. If they're like for plays or religious ceremonies or what.
I mean, they are known to be protectors of. There are unag. Nah, I want to say unag. Isn't that some kind of a sushi?
Maybe.
Mhm. I should probably look into the mask's meaning. Oni is what it is.
Oni.
Yeah. A bunch of different versions. And a little bit similar to Hanya masks. Both characters play evil roles. Men would wear these during the festivals
Mm-hmm.
to ward off any evil spirit or bad
There you go.
luck. There it is.
It's a good luck mask. Get them out of the house. I mean, yeah, scare them off. It's like isn't there a Thai version of these? I think I've seen them before. Or like they're in Buddhism, there's like a bunch of the sort of, where did I see this? We have a Buddha.
Yeah. Wow. Where?
Up there in the corner.
That's there it is. Yeah. Yeah.
Here's Kristen.
What's up?
She scares away evil
Hey.
spirits too.
Maybe.
Good to see you. How are you feeling?
Good. This is my first time getting up earlier though. So I'm like, my time management isn't very good. I like can't move fast and I'm just like, I don't know.
Let's see.
Yeah.
I'm in the light beam.
This house feels super cozy and all homey and
Yeah.
Yeah, it's very much that.
yeah,
It's
must be a good place to rest.
it is that. Like Portland is very
Sleepy.
sleepy.
Yeah.
It's like, yeah. It's
Like it's just quiet. People are just chill. Like it feels really calm here,
Mhm.
which I guess is a good thing. I don't know. Doesn't feel lively though.
No.
Even like a park full of people. I guess it's more lively there.
Yeah, yesterday it was because it was warmer out,
Yeah, it's hot.
and then people were in the park. Yeah, it's just sort of, I don't know. Nobody's in a rush to get anywhere. I don't know what people are doing. They take care of their houses. There's a lot of that here where we're at in the neighborhoods. We need to probably, where are you going?
Need to what?
Check out more of the city. Yeah.
That might be why your face looked weird.
I think it's partially because there's light coming from over there. Because if I put my head here, it's darker.
I did the touch-up feature on Zoom when I wasn't feeling well because I didn't look good and it just sort of like blurs together things. And I was like, that's nice. You can't really see my face as much.
You got a melted face. Why are you so much taller than me all the time?
Where is this
Front of you.
Forward and
amazing video filters? Oh my god.
no. What is
That's-
Do you
this?
guys see it? Not interactive? So for what?
Yeah, it doesn't move.
I'm feeling really well.
Yeah, that's about right for you.
Those are your inner parts. It's all of
Oh.
noir.
It's kind of nice, the warm one.
Now you're in a David Fincher film.
Never seen one.
Never?
Although,
Fight
no.
Club?
Oh, is that the one?
Fight Club, Panic Room. What else has he done? He's done a whole
I
bunch
like
of them.
David Fincher. He's good with like the terror suspense, I guess.
Yeah. Intense movies.
Mhm.
7, I think, was his too.
Seven's also
What the
good.
hell is that? Yeah,
Wait,
that
go
one.
back to the one that
Iconic. Is that what that says? No. 10I. There you go. I like that one. It's just the number 1 badge. 10 Zoom.
Wow.
This
Oh,
I should
it's a
have on
comic.
flying.
Yeah. These things are so
Dumb.
like it's just a bunch of stuff. There you go. That one's interactive.
What the hell?
I mean, this is good. I remember wow, party Dow.
My hair.
Is that pizza
Mhm.
or a party hat?
Oh my God. I want this in real life.
Mhm. Just
Not
an
wearing
AR
mask.
mask. When everybody has
Yeah.
Apple glasses, you don't have to actually wear a mask.
This is flat. This is not as good quality as
Snapchat.
Arabic. No, it's really bad quality.
That's the one I would use all the time. I don't need a hat.
You sure?
It reminds me of like when the Mac had like the first like webcam. Wow. Got lightning in the background. It's always storming there.
Yeah. Yeah. Always there. Seriously. And the walls were leaking before. And it was a whole pool inside the room.
Okay.
So now the floor is all messed up. I haven't had the time to tell the owner that your house is pretty much messed up right now.
That should be fine.
She's gonna blow her lid.
We still haven't signed a contract.
So you're
I've
just
been busy, and
there.
she said, "What are the notes?" I'm like, "I'll send it. I'll send it this week." And I feel like everybody warned me, like, "Oh my God, this is the worst owner, blah blah blah." And I'm thinking, she's probably thinking I'm the worst tenant
on it. Yep.
because I haven't been responsive, kind of at all. In terms of priority, she's the last one.
She's getting a dose of her own medicine.
Yeah, exactly.
You guys
Are
are
you drinking
made.
coffee?
Yeah, but this is the one that I started my day with.
Okay.
Progress
You
for
can
me,
do this.
because I usually get 2 of these, and then my second one is the big size.
The big boy.
This is a small size, I believe. If only Starbucks had the normal human sizes instead
Yeah.
of going all venti and grande and whatever, which
Yeah.
doesn't make any sense.
It makes sense. It's because their coffee is addicting. It's full of sugar and caffeine, and then people like become attached to it, and then they can't get off of it.
Sure.
I mean, not that stuff. That's probably
Not
just,
that-
Coffee. Yeah.
yeah.
This is all poison. Yeah.
Yeah, we're right next to a Starbucks. Like it's like it has a drive-through, and so in the backyard, like we can just hear the headset like,
Hi, welcome to Starbucks. What can I get you started? Yeah.
welcome to Starbucks. What can I do for you? Over and over and over again, because people are just coming
Caramel
through.
macchiato.
Yeah, you
You
can
want a
hear.
cappuccino?
I would just be there ordering all of the chocolate chip muffins.
We're out of those today, sir. You can hear the whole thing.
Yep. But I tried their coffee because we've been just making coffee at home, or like going to coffee shops, like local ones, small ones. And in Portland, they're like nuts about coffee here. There's
They
like
got good
coffee roasters. There's, it's like, it's a whole coffee scene. So you can get like really good coffee all over the place. And then I went to Starbucks because it's right there and we didn't have anything in the house. And the fucking espresso that they have is so potent. It is like so much stronger than like, because they've got it down to a science and like it's consistent. So yeah, I don't know. I'm just like, and people get like 10 shots of this stuff.
Yeah.
It's nuts.
I mean, people are doing the drive-through in the evening. I'm
Yeah.
like, people are just
All
ordering
day,
coffee
forever.
24/7. Yeah.
I used to do this.
Oh,
I mean, I would do the same thing you're doing. I found the drink, like I would get the iced ones and then I would like nurse it all day. And then,
It's
yeah,
like a drip,
yeah, basically
a caffeine
an
drip.
IV drip. I had to cut that out though, because at a certain point I couldn't, my sleep got all screwy. And then, especially when I was managing, like I used to do this when I would make stuff all the time. like, because it would get me in the zone. But yeah, now it's a lot of like weed and coffee, less coffee and a small amount of weed, like in the pill form. That's my combo that I'm going to need to stop at some point soon here. Whatever.
I worked at a Alzheimer's disease center and like cognitive neurology research place. And there was a guy there who was like a full, I think he was like PhD, MD. He was definitely a doctor. I don't know if he was also a PhD, but everyone's doing research and he drank so much coffee.
Some people, yeah.
I remember at one point being like, how many cups of coffee do you drink a day? He's like 10, easily 10. And I was like, is that okay? Like, you're a doctor. He's like, it's fine. It's totally fine. And I'm just like, sure, okay.
According to him.
Yeah.
They had a thing in that office. We would get coffees pretty regularly at like the 3 p.m. sort of lull. Like my supervisor would be like, do you want to go walk and get a cup of coffee? Sure. So they had a very coffee culture and they were all into cognitive stuff. So it's not that bad, I guess.
Yeah, it's just
Preference.
I mean, if you want to stop, it just feels like trash for a
Yeah,
while.
if you drink a lot and then not and wanting to get off of it, getting off of caffeine sucks.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, one day I get a caffeine headache. I was good. The whole time I was sick, I drank coffee because I didn't want it, but I was like, I'm gonna get a headache. So we were staying at a place where we had the espresso machine. So I had Dave make me espresso.
So good.
And then I forgot one day though, and it was you just get a crazy headache, like your whole yeah, from temple to temple. There's no.
Yeah, I haven't not had coffee. I can't remember
Period.
the last time.
Really?
No.
Sometimes I switch to tea because tea also has a fair amount of caffeine. Like that's like a good step down if you're
Yeah.
trying to get off, I think. And then just slowly, yeah.
No, that's in San Diego when I wasn't feeling well. I was doing decaf,
Oh, that's right. Which has a small amount of caffeine.
tiny amount. Yeah.
Which is also nice because then you don't have to go through the full withdrawal.
Yeah. I'll probably do that again someday.
Hey,
Not
same.
now.
Hey, same. The decaf.
Does it taste the same?
Yeah.
They do there's some sort of chemical treatment, I think, that they
Yeah.
do to the beans to decaffeinate them. And if it's not like, there's like different styles of treatments, I guess. I remember someone talking about this that was super into coffee. They had some brand that
Yeah.
had a decent wash or something, or it's like less chemical, so you can still taste the coffee.
Yeah.
It's not as good usually.
No. Yeah, I don't really care about the taste all that much. I mean, I just like having coffee.
I love the taste of coffee.
I mean,
Yeah.
I enjoy the general taste of coffee, but like I never developed a specific like quality.
You don't have this with food.
Typically not. I mean, I can tell the difference if it gets like if it's
Yeah.
like been in a gas station pitcher for like 3 days. Like,
Yeah,
I don't want that.
sludge.
But I'm less particular about it. So yeah.
So how, I thought it was like a general thing with all of the people dealing with some sort of a stress thing. But if the food is not fresh, do you sense it immediately?
She's like crazy
I'm
about this.
I can't even really eat at diners sometimes because the oil that they use, it literally makes me sick. Like I get nauseous. Like I don't know what it is. Like they've got vegetables, but they're not like good
Yeah.
vegetables, and I'm just like,
I have that. So I'm not a food person. But the only thing that I have, I can immediately sense if the food is more than a day old.
yep,
Mm.
fresh. Yep.
Yeah, I mean, I prefer it, but like I don't know, you go to a diner and the eggs are terrible, like because they're
Yeah, you are a
overcooked or
connoisseur of eggs now.
there's that. But
Not just how they're cooked, but like if they're fresh, like if they're from like a farm or if they're like factory farmed, he knows the difference
that kind of stuff. Like I tend to notice that. Like I
because he eats eggs every day usually.
Yeah.
This chicken was free before.
Yeah.
You can tell. I mean, so now we went to, we just got eggs from like a farm, like they were outside the door, and they're like,
They're healthy.
that they're taking care of those chickens, and the eggs taste good. If they're in like a big shitty farm where they're being tortured so that their eggs can come out, you're eating torture eggs. I don't know if that's psychological or not. There's probably some amount of that.
I think there's a difference in yolk color for sure.
Yeah.
That's what
They
you
just
can tell.
feel less rich, I guess, because they're eating chicken feed, which is like mass produced. And so there's like a supply chain to get the food into the chicken, and then the chicken is not happy, and then it's producing an egg. That egg is not going to be as good. I don't know. That's my thing.
Weird.
But that's with the meat too. Like I was watching some of these, I don't know, during high school, I had a vegetarian friend or vegan, I don't know. And he's like, man, you should stop eating dead animals. And he like dead animals. I'm like, oh, tastes bad already. And he shows me all of these factories and farms that they're coming from. It's horror stories. Like the ring got nothing.
No, it's fucked.
Factories.
Yeah.
It's really
hard.
terrible.
It's hard to learn about, like the Forks Over Knives documentary, and then what's the book that Mike Minnick gave me?
Eating Animals?
Yeah, eating
like Peter Singer. Yeah, he's
Eating Animals, the book. It just takes you through like how it's like systems thinking around, like here's what it takes to farm these animals and what it looks like, and like how, like quantities, and like these horror stories. There's this one about something with a farm, and they had this big, I don't remember the details, some big like vat, like big huge pool thing of, I don't even know what, but like one of the farmers fell in and drowned or something, and they're just talking about like how these places are not, they're like inhuman even. They're like factories to create meat that even the people working there, I just remember being like, what the fuck? Like this is insane. And people didn't notice for a while or something.
I mean, there is why the word spiritual comes to my mind, but killing animals need to have a certain process. So you need to feel certain emotions. But then you know how it is with people that take care of funeral places. What is it called?
Funeral home.
You lose that sense of sensitivity.
It's like a reverence for death. Yeah.
Imagine those people start killing these animals, and then the way that they're doing it.
Yeah.
Then you kind of lose sense of, I don't know, life. Yeah.
Well, the factory part of it is, it's like highly standardized. So everything is just like, there's like, I mean, there's protocols and standards. Like it's highly efficient. I mean, you're highly efficiently murdering animals at scale. Like it's a really weird, like people go and work at these places every day too.
Yeah.
I don't know how.
It's mostly immigrant labor, like a lot of it, because these places are terrible.
Yeah.
They're awful. Like in every fucking possible way. I don't know. Maybe there's like a happy-go-lucky, like Google campus style factory slaughter.
I don't know.
But I doubt it.
I don't think so, because I think that the animals are disturbed too. Like it's not a good, like energetically, like the animals get scared, like because they don't really know what's going on. They're not kept, like I'd be curious if they drug them to be.
So this is what what's her name? I forget her. She's autistic. And
Greta?
No, Greta.
Isn't that her name? The
Swedish one?
No.
Is that her name? Greta? She's like a huge
Climate.
environmental.
Yeah, no.
You got such an old person name for some reason. That happens sometimes. But
Yeah. Now this is I forget her name. Like Claire Danes played her in a movie. But she came up with the hugging machine, or she used this, and she grew up on farms and stuff, and like reinvented a bunch of like
Ooh.
channeling and funneling things to make the animals more comfortable.
Feel like they're just walking around.
Yeah, as in slaughterhouses and in movements and stuff. I mean, so she reduced the suffering within the process. Yeah, it's gnarly.
That's fucked up though.
Outcome is same still though.
Yeah.
I mean, she made it less of a horror show.
Yep.
Like, so, but it's still like, but to do that, she recognized how terrifying, like,
Yeah.
you know, the
you have
whole
to
thing
go
is.
there, like mentally.
What
Yeah.
is her name?
I'm just really curious if I could eat meat again. I think it might make me cry.
Just like the mask.
What?
An M. Well, he has a Oni mask or Oni mask to get away with evil spirits.
Oh,
And
that's
then
pretty creepy.
When M saw it, she started crying.
Really? Perfect.
No, I actually just have it because I just like the look, and
Yeah.
it's
I mean, it's
Yeah.
cool looking.
whole thing. No, nowadays, if I want to try to eat meat, it feels immediately very wrong. And chewing is very weird.
Yeah.
It feels like you're eating skin. It's all weird. It's all weird.
Yeah.
I'm trying to convert M to eating vegetarian food. Stop
Yeah.
eating dead animals.
I don't know. Like,
I mean, as soon as I dead animals, and you're thinking about it, like chicken, doesn't matter
Yeah,
how.
everybody has like it's like Web3. Everyone's got their own on-ramp to it. Like some people, like they're like, I don't care. Like I know it's a dead animal. And then other people, like the second they hear the word, they're just like, what? I can't think about it the same. Yeah.
yeah.
And then other people need to read a certain like story about it or see it or yeah.
Yeah, I don't know how that one shakes out. I mean, we're getting all the lab grown meat and stuff like that. So, and then ethically or morally, it might be, I don't know. I have to look
It's
into
still
more of
not
this
good
stuff.
for you. Because imagine how long it takes until it actually leaves your system. And that's where most of the diseases, I don't know, I'm just gonna
Yeah.
ram saying this is recorded, it's probably not good. That guy is an idiot. He doesn't know what he's talking about. But I feel like, with meat, it stays in your system for such a long time that it kind of is a source for cancer. Let's just say this is a conspiracy that I have. And I think
Yeah.
vegetables or anything vegan, it just goes through you and then it just leaves you with nutrition and vitamins. And I saw that from they put equivalent to whatever acid it is that we have in our stomach, and they put a bunch of different food in it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
The time that it takes for your body to process certain foods is very, very different.
Yep.
And, with meat, a lot of the energies that we have, it usually goes to just processing food in our body.
Yeah.
And if it's something that stays there for a few days, then obviously you're not going to be on your top performance or energy levels.
Interesting.
And I think hamburger took about 2 weeks until it was completely gone, which is insane. If you are eating, it just didn't look good. I'm like, I don't want this inside my body at all.
I'm gonna look into that. I didn't know that. It makes sense that it takes longer to break down. Like evolutionarily, we didn't have all too much access to meats. So we wouldn't have evolved like a highly efficient way of breaking it down. There obviously is a way of breaking it down. The thing that comes to mind is the people that eat paleo,
Yeah.
who are basically just eating meat. Like, and then like, what is their poop? Like, what's their, like, how does that work? Like, what is going on there?
I don't know. I'm sure you can go on Reddit and find out everything.
I could ask my sister too. My sister's a gastroenterologist, so she does like all the digestive stuff. Maybe I will ask her about this. She wanted to talk today.
Talk about meat time.
Yeah, I'm curious. Like, it would be interesting just to ask her and not come in with an opinion, because she definitely eats meat.
Does she know about the nutrition stuff though? Or just the byproducts?
She can probably get there on her own.
Yeah.
Like, if you come in though and tell her like
It works like this.
then
She's
she'll
not
just
gonna-
shut down
Yeah, yeah.
because she loves to argue.
Mhm.
But if you give like an on-ramp, I mean, she would just be like, well, it's probably, she knows like what's
Yeah.
better or worse, but she doesn't like care.
Doctors.
Doctors.
This is a very reliable source.
It's encrypted, so must be.
It was posted on Dribble. Actually, well, you know, it's not the
Fish
best
is
image.
pretty quick, huh? A whole turkey?
I'm gonna eat a whole turkey. It's gonna take 48 hours.
Oh, nuts and seeds take a long time.
Yeah, that's probably why it's such a good food to have, because it would
Snack
give you.
on.
That's interesting. My grandmother has a thing with, oh wow, look at that image.
How come the salad is 1 hour, but the salmon is just 40 minutes?
Because it's roughage.
Because salmon like swim, and so they move through. And salad just sits there and grows slow. So that's just how that works.
But this wasn't
Salads-
what I was referring to. It was more of a,
Salads have cellulose. They're like harder to break down, like lettuce and stuff. Like they're more complex. I wonder, so the easiest thing to break down is like sugar stuff, right? It just goes through. So like
Yeah.
candy. But what about the byproducts of candy? Like there's a whole world here now that
Yeah.
you just spend the day researching how food is digested. And I'm gonna look up that story about the farmer who fell in the thing.
Okay.
Well, I need to remember what the story was because I just remember being appalled.
Yeah, all those stories, I don't need to. People who spend a lot of time in that area, it's a lot.
That book is the book that ruined fish for me. I was really upset.
That's what you get for reading
Well,
philosophical treatises on animals.
I knew that like other meats like were hard for me because I didn't like cooking them because it just
Yeah.
like I could see what was happening, like because I'm like preparing meat and I just was like, oh my God, I can't do this. So I stopped cooking meat at home, and then I was like, I'll only eat meat when I'm out, like at restaurants, which in retrospect, like there's something problematic about that. Like I can't see how it's made. Just give me like the final version and I'm cool with it. Like that's a little, I don't know, like what's going on there. And then I met this guy and he didn't eat any meat. So I was like, well, I just won't eat meat when I'm with him. Yeah. And this is when I decided to try being vegetarian, started reading the book. And I was like, I can't eat meat anymore. And then I didn't know how to eat. And I was just eating peanut butter and jelly.
She like lost like 5 pounds. She, was like, she had no energy. She doesn't know what to. Like,
She's
just
like,
eat
what are you
vegetables.
doing?
but then later you felt more energy.
Yeah, I felt fine after like transitioning. It took a while like to figure out. And I feel like I'm still figuring that out. Like, I don't know what my relationship is to the pre-made like sausages or burgers.
Yeah.
Like what, I don't know how to evaluate like the health like quotient on those.
They're getting better and better, I think.
Yeah.
Generally, like so I've been vegetarian or vegan, one or the other, like in that sort of like with my eating preferences or style or whatever since 1998.
Jeez.
It's almost been 25
I was
years.
thinking like 3 years, 5 years, 1998.
Like
Yeah.
almost 25 years.
Yeah.
That's crazy.
So, and like, I'm not a great cook. So like,
No.
I'll go try all the vegetarian and vegan products, like the stuff in the freezers and the stuff, and like, a lot of that stuff, they get bought by like big corporations, like big food distributor things. And what they do is they like take they need to mass produce it. So they put like, it's effectively sawdust in the thing, like, because they're using, economies of scale things. And I think the more you scale the food, the less nutrition it like generally.
Yeah.
Um,
Well, you start getting into things with like just basic like for-profit capitalistic endeavors too.
yeah, you need
It's
to
like,
commoditize them. So
Yeah, the quality starts to slide so you can increase quantity, which you found with one specific brand, right? Of food that you were eating, like they changed the recipe.
yeah,
Like
so
after they IPO'd
I mean, this
or
has
something.
happened a bunch of times,
Yeah.
but you'll notice like, because if you get like health food stores or whatever, early distribution on some of these like products, they're like making them in small factories
Yeah.
with like not that many
Yeah.
people. They're not that abstracted. The same thing goes for money products, like
Yep.
financial products, like, you know, housing, anything. The more abstraction layers away from like a human being touching the thing and pulling it from the ground, the less likely it is good for you. And so you can notice with products as they like their market cap gets larger or the parent company gets larger,
Yep.
the quality differs. It is consistent, but not necessarily healthy, right? But this stuff has come a long, long way, both in like sophistication and nutritional value, right? A lot of them have stopped using like cheap soy products and stuff. They're doing a lot of things with like pea protein or whatever.
Yeah, pea
now.
protein isolate.
Yeah.
I don't know what that means.
I don't know. It's just a different like protein source. But yeah, I don't know. Ideally, you're eating vegetables like from the ground. Like,
Well, whole foods, like
yeah.
whole foods. So things, yeah, that anything that comes from the earth that can be like you can cook and stuff. Like have you ever done a raw foods diet?
Yeah, it sucked.
I've
I hated
never
it.
done that because
Just
that's
nothing cooked.
You can't cook anything. You can like, what's it called? Like soak it in vinegar or something. Like you can
Yeah.
do stuff to break it down that way. There's all kinds of interesting things.
Why is that a good thing?
I mean, there's a bunch of, it
That-
depends.
I
People get
think-
religious about these things. Like, you know,
I did that. No, quinoa is actually cooked.
yeah, like there's entire restaurants and like you go to Berkeley or, you know,
Raw,
any of the,
right?
yeah,
They call it
raw
raw.
foods
Yeah.
movement.
It is like, so part of like, why does it take a salad an hour to digest? Like, I think that there's something around, it's like good for your digestive system. I mean, it is good for your digestive system to have fresh fruits and vegetables because it takes longer. I think it's cellulose. Like there's something about like the structure of the cells that break down. But yeah, people get religious about everything.
Yeah, I mean, there's like a lot of stuff with like living cultures, you know, like in yogurts, and,
Probiotic
yeah, these
stuff.
kinds of things.
What's the word? Kimchi, like fermented, like that's a big thing too. Like kombucha, like it's good.
Yeah. Is it?
Yeah, it's not, some of this stuff is not bad. Like
Yeah.
it's acquired taste. Like I like sour things or pickled things, but if you don't like that, it's gonna be like sort of shocking that you probably have to ease into it. But yeah, I don't know. There's something, it's almost like effervescent, like carbonated stuff when you eat it, like it feels like tingly almost. It has like a sensation like that, which could be a lot to handle. But yeah, I don't know. I mean, then we can get into whole discussions about like gut biome. Like there's so many different, I don't even know what are they? Not viruses. What is it?
What?
The gut biome, like there's like bacteria, like the number of different kinds of bacteria and the quantity of them it's like more than the number of cells in your body in your digestive tract, which is wild. So it's like a whole ecosystem in there. And that's why, yeah, people, I don't know, are trying to find the right balance of all this so that they feel good. But then how much of it is just subscribing to a certain way of thinking or being without knowing what its relationship is to your body?
Yeah, the like sort of scientific versus magical version of this. But I don't know. Some people have a high sensitivity to it.
Yeah, everyone's different too. So like one thing that works for one person is not going to work for the other, which is why I'm super curious about meat stuff. Like I'm curious how I would feel eating more high protein, high fat, like having it concentrated like it is in meat, like how I would feel. Like what if I had
I would be so powerful. If I ate meat now, well, one, I'd probably just throw up all the time, but because my body is like so unused to anything like that for so long.
Yeah.
But my guess is that I'd have too much energy. I'd just be able to like.
You think so? Like
I
actually?
don't know. I have no idea.
Okay. I'm curious about that though.
Yeah. I
It would
think
probably slow you down, then give you more energy.
Yeah, it might slow you down because
I'd have the flesh of a beast within my system,
Mhm.
and then that would give me the power of a chicken.
What did it taste
or a
like?
beef.
Power.
I have no idea. I'm gonna only eat exotic animals. Boa constrictor meat.
I'm just gonna eat local birds.
Yeah, pigeons.
People would be so upset because bird watching has become a thing.
Yeah.
I just catch local birds and fry them up, and
I'm gonna throw a rock at a crow, and that's the only thing I'll eat. Crow meat.
well, it's like hunting. You hunted it yourself.
Yeah.
It's good.
Armadillo.
What's the one thing you could never live without in terms of food?
I don't know. At this point, probably eggs.
I'm saying
Peanut
that's the
butter.
only difference between vegan and vegetarian, right?
Yeah, anything that's animal byproducts. So like there's different lines there, but like ethically or sort of morally, I've known a lot of people who are vegan and had a lot of talks about this, but generally like people can fall into a bunch of different camps, and the longer you live that lifestyle, it's just an intentionality about where your food is coming from, or so like in the case that I think that people they treat it as a rule system, and that any movement towards like eating something that is a byproduct of like some sort of like animal process is seen as evil or something like that. I think that that's sort of short-sighted and ridiculous, because everybody has like different sort of physical needs and these kinds of things.
Also,
but
culturally, the way that society is structured is it's highly normalized to eat animals. So
sure.
I don't know, like to just negate that completely. Like some people have a really hard time seeing outside of that perspective because that's how they were raised, and maybe their style of thinking is more conservative. Like, I don't want to change. I just want to do what I was told. Like, why would I question that? And then you get people that are like rabidly telling you to question it, and you're like, but why? Like it
I mean, so there's
me.
the proselytizing part of this, but there's so people whose personal decisions or whatever, there's structures for thinking. Well, there's the way to think, like there are different ways to think about like the approach to what is veganism, right? Because there's not like a 10 commandments for, I mean, somebody has probably done that. But generally speaking, like if it came from an animal, like if it is a human being utilizing an animal to produce some sort of food or leather clothing, or whatever it is, they tend to not like consume or use these kinds of things. But there are all of these like where do you draw the line? So do you not purchase anything that comes from companies that also do like manufacture like with animal byproducts, like or do you can it becomes very difficult to live in this way. Like it's possible, but so I don't know, like, and then you can move into sort of sourcing your material. Like, so if you're going to eat eggs or have cheese or whatever it is, ideally you know where it comes from and like how the animals are treated in that relationship. Are they factory farmed, or like are they in pens that they have no space or whatever? And like again, it's so
there's
I don't know, there's a whole swath of thinking on this.
The Portlandia episode with the chicken. They go to a restaurant in Portland and they're going to order the chicken, and like it says somewhere on the menu that the chickens, something about we like know where the chickens came from or like were raised or something. So they're just asking the waiter, like, so can you tell us a little bit more about the chicken? Like, what was their home life like? And then it turns into this whole thing where they can't stop like asking questions because they're just, we should really find out like what it really looked like. We should go see like what was its name, like what were its parents like. So they end up like leaving the restaurant and driving to like a local farm so they can, yeah, that whole thing.
So what happens with a lot of this stuff is it becomes marketing fodder for the companies to make it seem like whatever they're like, there's an arms race with this stuff. And so it is soothing the consumer anxiety around where their food is coming from. And so like you have inserts in your eggs and stuff where like meet your chicken and stuff like this. And then you have to like, how real is this, or how much is it a marketing ploy? You know, it's a whole fucking ridiculous thing. Cause like vegan products and like that sensibility is like, but then sort of marketing and capitalism will take any sensitivity like this and then use it as a device to increase like purchasing. I've noticed this in the time that I've been I'm like, the number of vegan products like that are in like grocery stores in like places that before it would have been insane to have these products.
Weird, like in Pensacola or
like in southern, you know, or sort of farm country even, where that stuff is just, you know, nuts. I don't know, the internet spreads this stuff really quickly.
Last thing I'll say is
last thing ever, huh?
Well, on this for now, could keep going on this forever. Some of the like vegan cheese, for example, is like one thing that, what is even in it? Like I start to wonder like what it is.
They're doing fermenting processes. There's a bunch of stuff. They have cashew versions, like coconut, like there's a bunch of different types of things. Food science.
Yeah, I don't know. Like nutritionally though, like I try to like look at the ingredients. Like, do I want this? Like, I get that it's an imitation cheese, so it's gonna feel like cheese, which is nice, like for creating like a meal, and it feels like nice, it tastes nice, the texture, the flavors, whatever. But like, I don't know, depending on what it's made out of, like sometimes I'm just like, I don't really want this in my food though. Like, it's not something I want to ingest. It's because it's the composition of it is totally different than normal cheese. So like I have to like remember that, because for a while I was just like replacing, and I'm like, but it's not made of the same stuff. So I'm not getting the same like nutrients out of. It's something that I think about.
They saw mindfulness that came and become a thing, and then everybody started doing meditation and such. When was that? Like maybe when Headspace become such a big thing?
When was that? Yeah. 5 years ago?
That comes with food, because nobody have any sense of what's actually good for them, and that's the one thing that probably affects most of your being.
Yeah, this is like, at least in the United States, I don't know, I've like sort of had an interest in this probably from the Forks Over Knives movie. Like I think that documentary is coming back to me. The like government in cahoots with market for these like large scale dairy and meat industry. And then we actually got into this, we started researching it when he started eating keto more, because there's like, and then you have to like fold in here academic research stuff too. So there's these huge industries that make a living like off of factory farming in one way or another, whether it's dairy or meat. Does eggs fall into its own category? Is that considered dairy? I don't know. But those big markets and industries, they literally have lobbyists, and they used to, at least in the US, have seats at the table to form the dietary guidelines for what people should be eating, which is a total conflict of interest. So they're like, you should be eating this much milk and eggs and meat, but we're the ones producing it. So why would anyone believe what they're saying? And then they were influencing research studies, which is still kind of happening, it seems like. So there was a
ton of stuff through Harvard.
Huge thing about like not eating too much salt or not eating too much fat. And like he started researching it because he was eating higher salt, higher fat diet because he was doing the keto thing. And there's like, I don't know, there's mixed messaging and it's hard to figure out what the truth of it is. And then finding a doctor who will work with you and can actually talk about it is like,
well,
a
that has
whole other
any
story.
understanding of what people eat, because for whatever reason in med school, this is not a thing. It's just downstream consequences of what's broken or something. Yeah, like I mean, I did
You did a pretty deep dive.
Yeah, like I did more of a dive on how the information is spread about this stuff rather than the like conclusions that I came away with were that most of the like sort of governmental legitimized sources are probably corrupted in some way or another. There are people there that are trying to do a good thing.
Yeah.
But the mechanism for distributing like large scale like health,
Yeah.
it's not good. Like, so you get a lot of experts.
I mean, look
and
at COVID is the same thing.
Yeah.
Go ahead. You get experts who are.
I mean, so the systems for it's exactly what you were saying. Like, so you have Harvard like doctors who are like on a lot of boards, like for organizations like the heart health things and stuff like this. And they've had this logo and they've been around since the 50s. And so they're an institution that like, if you get their branding, then that means something. But there are so many corporate ties to the big food corporations in this. And then they are sponsoring like research projects. And so the influence is gnarly there. Plus they're looking at like large scale like populations and like normalizing some of these figures. And they don't it's also about the way that you're measuring like the impact on the body. The tooling that you have and the access to the tooling is like pretty low. So you go get a snapshot once a year.
Yeah.
And that snapshot, if you've eaten something earlier that day or the day before, can be wildly off.
Is
right?
it very quantitative, like
it's super
scientific?
quantitative.
Yeah.
And it doesn't take into account a lot of the cultural stuff or whatever. And so if you are moving through as a normal person, like a system, you are the system is coordinated around like normalized like averages and stuff. It's not relative measure to the person because that would cost too much. You would need somebody to work with on that because the likelihood that you're going to understand like the relationship to the stuff that you're putting in your body in relationship to these measures. So it's like the feedback loop is really slow. There's very little data. And what's happening is that you'll get a doctor who says like, this is what your numbers are right now. And so change everything. And then there's no methodology for changing any of that stuff or tracking how it's changing. Right. So the feedback cycle is crazy, and it's coming from guidance that is not necessarily in alignment with your health. So again, it's the abstraction. You have offloaded this into an expert for whom you don't know and is X number of steps removed from you and is getting paid by companies that like have an incentive to feed you things that they don't care about your health. So the system is like really, and so you have rich people who get like personal doctors and measures and so in that,
they're the best case studies too, because they pay, and they'll like the people who write this up, like who was that guy who kayaked or canoed across like some big body of water?
Yeah,
like talking about all of his diet, and I wanted to do this, and I was only eating this, and I mean, they literally hired.
I mean, they're doing full blown. I mean, so in sports medicine, there's a lot of information about this. Like it tends to be performance centric though, which is tough, but it's the best information
though, because their like analysis is quantitative and qualitative, and they have a bunch of money. So they're hiring like nutritionists and doctors that they're paying out of pocket to do like bespoke, like, I don't know what you would call that. What do you call medicine relationship.
It's yeah, but
Like you're not a patient anymore. Like it's a partner. It's the peering thing.
Yeah.
The doctor's like listening and what like it's creative medicine, I guess, or creative like nutrition.
sure. I mean, but like I said, it's optimized. It tends to be optimized towards performance for some specific, like, I mean, there are versions of this for like rich people who care very deeply about like their health because they want to live forever. So there's a bunch of that. Like out of Silicon Valley, you get lots of the like the like brain hacking, biological hacking, all of these kinds of things, because there is a concern with like immortality and life and longevity research. So there's a bunch of good or better data, but there needs to be something in here that is a balance of that is like most. So the concept that is floating around, or one of the concepts is floating around, that like the biological health of your civilization is held in common, like it is a common, like air, like everybody breathes the same air. Your gut biome and everybody's gut biome around you can be held in common. And so tools of society should be taking care of that common.
That's just such a weird thing to like that. Yeah.
I
I
mean,
have to like think about that one for a while. How to hold someone else's gut biome in common.
well, it's just what is the information landscape around health and nutrition?
That makes more sense. Yeah.
Well, these things are, you need a like a tangible connective like understanding of, like, air is a lot easier to understand. You breathe the same air I breathe, right? So like the food landscape can be this way too.
Is there a thing here where people are held in common?
Sure, but like, you know, there are certain on-ramps to that. Like you can say that, like in the same way that like in the Constitution of the United States, that all men are created equal.
It says that all men are created equal. Yeah. Women, not so much.
So anyways, how you frame these things can produce results, but yeah. So.
Well, I mean, there's a bunch of things that play into like if people or community is held in common, like humans in aggregate, like us together, there's a lot to play with there, because if you can go environmental on it, like the ecosystem, and there's a bunch of things that filter into that, like air quality, the food we eat, the general like mental well-being of people. So like what the environment is like as like a culture, like in the air, like how do people treat each other on the street? Like that's all part of influencing the health and well-being of people. If that's held in common, like that's just, there's a lot of feedback loops there.
The food one is the one that, yeah. So that one's the food one is like a pragmatic thing, and it is a particular problem. Like no one knows how to eat. Like the general person around, like who has been like sort of bombarded by like an information ecology that is predominantly advertising driven.
Yeah.
And if it's not advertising driven, it is like you know, governmentally sort of initiated food pyramids and these kinds of things, which are effectively advertising driven. So yeah, I mean, that thing needs cleaning up. And then if there are mental models that like I mean, you get some of this in local communities, like the quality of your food dictates the quality of your life and your thinking and your ability to interact in the world in a way that where you're not chronically ill.
Yeah, there's a lot of, in the United States, urban places that they call food deserts, because they don't have grocery stores. Like
they've got McDonald's.
The closest thing they have is like markets or gas station stores. So people are literally getting food from that, and they don't have produce. They don't have most like healthy anything.
Yeah, so there was a thing on, what is it, Humans of New York, that account. It's a guy who's a photographer, and he goes and he collects people's stories and stuff. It's very nice. He blew up through Tumblr, I think. And he
Moved
just
on to Instagram, right?
yeah, he just profiled I have this group of people that are doing community gardens in Harlem in New York. And like it's become this movement thing, and like sort of stories about the kids who are able to like see where food is made and to be able to eat this healthy food, and like the difference that it sort of makes in the population.
I have to use the restroom, and maybe we can talk about something else.
If you sure.
Well, I feel like we're just rambling. I don't know.
I guess we're comparing notes. She's orchestrating. She's conducting. Anyhow, this stuff has like, I've been interested in this, and like, I would prefer not to have to do a bunch of research on this because I don't cook. So it like makes this, you know, that's the missing
More
piece.
difficult to live with, right? More difficult to live with if you find something that you're like, fuck, now I need to cook and I need to learn. And then
And that's where I'm at. I can't get, I mean, I'm at the end of the rope on that one. I have to pick up like, I mean, I've been increasing my chef skills, but this is where like Kristen cooks all the time. So that's nice. And like, I can pick up little tips and tricks from her. But it's like hard to learn something as fundamental as cooking when you're like 40, because it's embarrassing. And so I have to like get over the fact that like, well, I never learned how to do any of this stuff. Like I know how to cook eggs or like basic stuff. And so I've just let my diet, like I just don't cook anything that's complex. I don't eat anything that's complex. But yeah, like Kristen's sister's partner, Justin, is a chef, and you know he's been doing this professionally for a long time, and he has this sort of improvised approach. Like he was talking about even doing, he's like a character, so he's like talking about doing a show where like he can just go into anybody's fridge and make them stuff from what they have in their fridge, just like toss it together. Here's some techniques on how to do that. So he has a bunch of understanding, like the same thing. I could do this with design stuff, right? He can do it with food. So it'd be nice to hang out with him for a while to sort of pick up some little things, or how he approaches it, like from a creative perspective. And then learning the basics from Kristen, these kinds of things. It's a long project. I need to have something to do when I'm old. I'll learn how to cook, buy a bunch of fancy cutlery or whatever it is.
I'm trying to figure out how to hire the person that comes and cooks for us. She does breakfast and lunch. For the, I'm very, I don't know, weird with food. So I have only one breakfast and I've had it for a very long time. And for lunch, I used to just have chopped fruits and like kind of salad, spinach and a little bit of avocado. I mean, a lot of avocado and some quinoa and such.
Yeah.
And I had that meal for at least 2 months until I'm like, fuck it, I'm tired of it. I look at it, I'm already full.
Yeah.
I need to find a new meal. And that become a whole project. So I'm like, just don't, what do you want? Just give me some time. And I've been just ordering a bunch of food every day to figure out what it is that I can eat for a long time without getting tired of it, because I clearly can. And when I do, we should probably hire her full time, but then what's the easiest thing to do to turn it into something? Because she has a certain potential of starting things. She's a very active person, and it's such a waste of kind of potential of she just coming here to cook and perhaps clean the house. What if we buy a professional juice making machine, and we just make cold pressed professional juice, and then we do a same day delivery? I'm like, fuck it, let's do it.
Oh my God.
Another business.
We ordered everything else is, by the way, going fine. Compliment has 2 meetings tomorrow. Let's see.
Okay.
I'll send you the pitch too with the with the whole influencer marketing stuff.
Mhm.
The rent car, we send it to the print. The t-shirts for homeless people is to the print. And we're like, all right, what to do now? While we
Yeah.
are waiting for all of these
Start a
things.
juice company.
That's just, I mean, because here, anything you can, people are so much more open to trying new things, and selling things on Instagram is such a thing. And then because she's influencer, the opportunity is just one story away. So you just, as soon as these people send one
What
post,
happened with the face puffs, or I don't, the cotton? I don't
yeah,
know.
we did the whole thing. We send a package to printing, and we're just waiting to get it back to repackage everything and then try it.
Cool.
50 pieces, yeah.
Yeah, let us know about that one. You should do little case studies on all of these.
Have you seen the thing? The the packaging and then the whole branding and all of the things that we with the Renklar and the pricing model that we like, fuck it, but let's try this.
Yeah, we
No,
went
with the beauty product.
we went through it. Yeah.
Was it
Yeah.
the pricing and everything?
We
Oh
were
yeah, we
talking
talked
unit
about,
economics on it.
yeah. Packaging them separately individually for each day, and then they all go in like a week box. And then like the weeklies, right?
Yeah, exactly. And then the design of it and everything got done. And then we just send it to the print, and then we're just waiting for the boxes to show up.
Can you show the design?
Yeah. I thought, no, I didn't.
Yeah, we went through
We
it.
did
You may have been.
out of it.
Mhm.
I don't remember seeing the design. I remember talking about the process.
I might have shown some early stage stuff.
You showed, I guess there was like, it was brand comparisons, like looking at,
Oh yeah, exactly. No, we actually designed the whole thing. This juice thing is just a fun. This is all symptoms of being locked down for so
Yeah.
long.
I mean, I would probably be, how many bedrooms do you have at your place?
2.
I'd probably be living in your other bedroom and just being like, I'll test anything that you make. Give me your
Right.
juice, give me your cotton swabs. Yep.
So here's how we approached it. I just got a bunch of different images of how where people store their stuff and which color actually stands out. And we just noticed that this color combination is not used that much.
Interesting. How, so you were just looking for something?
I'm trying to
color?
find a color code for a product that actually stands out.
Yep.
So we had photos of where all of these products are usually stored in places,
Mhm.
in shops, and also in people's houses.
Yep.
And to find a color that nobody is currently using as much. But ironically, I mean, clearly this color stands out.
Yeah.
In all of them, there's this little thing here. But then this is like, if you would get a package like this,
Yeah.
first of all, it hurts the eyes. Second of all,
Yeah,
it doesn't
feels like
feel like
candy or
something
something.
that feels clean. So we just went with this.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's fresher.
Yeah, it's fresh.
Yeah, it
I
has like
think
it's like tending into the medical a
Yeah,
little.
very much health,
Yeah.
medical.
Yeah, that was a problem because it looks too hospital looking.
Yeah.
We're trying to mix it with some pink. This is the website. It only has 3 products.
Mhm.
That's fine. Yeah, cotton pads, powder puff. Is that what it said?
Yeah, cotton pads and powder puff. And this is the whole thing. This is the this is
Squishy.
the daily ones, and then there is a weekly box, which is a bunch of daily stuff in it. And they're all looking like this. Yeah, so And then we started a whole juice thing, and then we're like, all right, can we hire you full time? We had a conversation earlier today. We're like, yeah, we got a cold press juicer. Can you juice some stuff for us? And she does, yeah. I'm like, we could probably do this. How much for bottles, and how much are we legally allowed to sell cold press juice from our house to other people? Seems like we can. And what's the process if this actually becomes a key thing? What we're gonna do with it? We're just gonna do selective food products, like starting with just very solid juice, just celery or just green apple or just that, and just sell it as the health benefits of that thing that we are making the juice from. And then the breakfast is just the one that we are doing, and then we're just having fun with spending money, I guess. And then perhaps it becomes a thing, but I was always loved having like, how coffee shops are, but just a healthy one.
Yeah.
Where you walk in, instead of getting a coffee, you get a fresh cold pressed juice. And it's Thailand. I mean, things are organic here. There are farmers doing their thing right next to our place. So we can source the right stuff. We have a good machine now, and we've purchased this white plastic. What is it? Jumpsuits.
Okay.
With a yellow helmet as a branding. And then we are just trying to figure out a name for this thing, that then we just screen print the name on these clothes, and then do a whole thing that it comes from our house. And it's all experimental, clean, and we sell it as a subscription once again. You
Interesting.
want fresh juice at your house. I mean, things are so cheap here.
Yeah,
so
what's
it's
the
just so
price
easy
point?
to start.
So the subscription, is it like, what are the packages you're looking at?
We can only make about 20 per day at maximum, because we can only do about 4 bottles an hour. We kind of counted that this morning. It takes about 20 to 15 to make a bottle. That includes, cutting the fruits, putting it into the bottle, do the whole thing. Given that it's already has the branding on top of the bottle, which we need to manually do. It would be her and her friend. So both of their salaries, still not much. We are thinking about most of the bottles are usually 200 milliliter, and the biggest one is the 500 milliliter. And we were just counting with the 500 milliliter as a because usually you buy a juice and it's just this much, and you like, as soon as the taste comes, it's gone. So you want to drink a bit more. So 500 milliliter would cost, which we are thinking about selling it at 340 baht, which is $10 roughly for one bottle. And we just sell it as a weekly thing. So we deliver it every day. And if we get about 25 customers to sign up to this, we have the rent paid with the costs, all from just having 20 customers to deliver these juices to. 25 customers.
Do that and then just sell the company at a premium, and then you can go start another one.
I just thought it would be such a cool story to say that our maid is paying for the rent. Just that.
And Deborah's like, how does that work?
We
Juicing
make
all
juice.
day.
Why not?
4 hours actually. 4
Yeah.
hours a day, and it would happen before we wake up. Most of it. I mean, she comes here around 7 something, plays music. It's a whole thing.
What kind of music?
And we wake up. We leave the bedroom probably around 10, and we start the work probably around that time, 10, 11ish. So most of the work is already done by the time that we are awake, and then they just deliver it.
On bicycle?
Motorbikes, yeah. It's a whole thing here in Thailand.
Yeah.
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 Yeah, it's interesting. I don't know. Each one of these little experiments gives you a little understanding of like how the
Yeah.
Local
like how a little
economy.
logistics part of this, or yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. Let me walk you through this. So remember we talked about the agents thing with the influencers and
Yeah.
how backwards things are because they are paying per post and they are paying a lot. It's insane how easy influencers make money. Post a thing, make about bot to USD. Yeah, it starts from around 2K, 4K per post is a good price-ish.
USD.
And
No, bot.
USD, no, USD. It's nuts.
That's nuts. Wait, how much?
So 3,640 for a post on Instagram, and that account has about, it's not really about, because we actually listed all of the influencers in Thailand and asked for receiving their rate cards. You know how it's the same thing with designers. We don't know really how much we are charging until somebody becomes smart enough to like, I can act as a client, ask everybody, and then I get a sense of the pricing.
Yep.
It's not kind of dependent on the number of followers. So somebody that has only about 200,000 followers on Instagram is charging about 2K for a post. And then somebody that has about 1 million on Instagram charges the same. They have no awareness of what's actually happening in the market. Yeah. And they are not managed. They have no idea how to talk with clients. So we should probably do something about it. So I started this company.
It's an agency.
So influencers are making enough like money to pay $2,000 a post? Like that's crazy.
Influencers?
Wait, they are getting paid.
They're getting paid by brands.
Oh, the brand. Oh, okay. I thought I had it reversed. That the influencers on their personal accounts, like
no, they collect an audience. They hold the attention.
Got it. So a brand pays you to do like a sponsored post or something.
This is what advertising is.
Okay. Now. Yeah. That makes sense.
Yeah.
Conversions on these are insane compared to any other marketing that you could imagine.
Especially for consumer product type things.
Is it
like usable? Yeah.
And it's not like a guest post for the brand. It's on your own account.
Yeah, because they have the audience, they have all of the followers. So the brands.
So they're capitalizing on your unique audience that might not already see this content somehow. They're okay.
So Thailand is now under lockdown and government lost it. They have no idea what's happening, and there is no sight at the end of the tunnel currently, which means all of these shops are going to remain closed for at least 3 more months, which means a lot of businesses are going out of business.
Yeah, that's rough.
So the pitch is we can deliver viral growth for digital shops. Our strategy is an optimized one, meaning we are just going to test a bunch of different creative strategies and different post types with different type of influencers to understand what works best for your product. Little bit of context. What agencies or what brands currently paying for is for a number of posts or number of stories. So it's not about the results that they are getting. They're purely just paying for that person's whatever their rates are.
And you can track this because people could be given like a code at checkout to get like a discounted price or something. So you can track who you're pulling in.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So we go, in total, we have about 5 million followers across a bunch of accounts.
And these are
that
real people.
These are real influencers, yeah. And those are their actual followers counts. And we handpick these different type of influencers for different kind of brands. This is for Sephora. They have a digital shops. Not many people are buying from them during this time. What we are asking for is, what if we partner with you and you are just paying us a portion of the sales that you are making, which we are driving? Meaning you would just give us a compliment code, a discount code, which people would enter, just like you said. And we take 25% of all of the sales that we make through this tag or discount code. Calling it as a fair pricing, you only pay us when you make money. So there is no risk involved when it comes to you. And we push as many posts as many influences as needed until we bring the results that we promise. And what we are promising is within our first month, and we are just doing it for a month to try this experiment, we are going to bring at least 4 million baht in sales. 4 million is 120K. Jesus, okay. It sounds big. And the 25% would be 1 million. And to start this, we just want, which means, you know, they pay us 1 million to make 1 million baht. And to start this, we want 40% of the 1 million that we are promising, which is completely refundable if we pay. If we fail, I mean. So the
have you pitched anybody yet?
Well, we've sent this week to a bunch of companies and everybody seemed positive. Now we are thinking we are probably doing something stupid. So tomorrow we have the call scheduled with this Sephora-like company. So who we've been targeting is these are all digital shops in Thailand, like King Power, and all of them are in the beauty products, and all of the influencers that we've listed, and we thought they are the right type of influencers to start this kind of thing with. These companies match their audience. And I know that the numbers that we are promising are possible because of the past experiences with them. Like the projects that she got paid for, and then the sales that they actually drove are insane. But it's one influencer. Imagine if we are working with a couple of influencers and we know their costs, and if things go well, it's the same thing with design agencies working with freelancers, and we first they go, no, we charge fixed per project, and all of the agency owners' goals is to get them to a full-time rate. So how about you just join us full-time and then just stop charging per project? The same goal would be with Complement, meaning getting influencers to join in-house. We provide them with a manager. We turn it into a whole modeling agency where we are taking care of the influencers. We are taking care of their negotiation with their clients, and we are guaranteeing them a base salary, which is what most of them are afraid of during, especially this time. This time is so good time for starting new things. It's because nobody's making money. And the only reason that they are not making money is because there is not a clear kind of connection between these two groups that can help each other to make the money. Influencers and brands.
Finding new channels to customers given the current context, because the old channels are, first of all, like if it's anything advertising where you have to be out in the world, that's gone to shit. But then, wait, let me see your headshots. I remember I saw you were in the lobby waiting to get your photos taken. It's nice, looking slick. You guys were matching. I loved it. I was really pleased. So yeah, you're either like your marketing strategies are not going to work, or your old marketing strategies are boring because people have been sitting on their phones and like computers and they're just like, they want like having something new will catch people's attention.
Yeah. And it's crazy when we'll see tomorrow, and I'm keen to hear all of the things that they've tried so far and their results.
Yeah.
Um,
That's interesting. Like there's probably room here. Like if this works, you could do multi-brand packages too. Cause like influencers can start putting together like, here's my like preferred beauty kit. Like I like this product from this brand, this one from an like combo.
ambassadors.
What does it
Well,
work?
The goal is to land a lot of, and this probably with the Europeans and US based influencers, they become also with celebrities, they become ambassadors of certain brands, and they're just promoting that brand. That's basically a fixed salary, monthly salary. I would love to do that for influencers, and it's very possible. And this is almost that, because we are saying we are just going to pick one beauty digital shop, and it's going to be an exclusive partner. All of our influencers are just going to promote your shop. So whatever product they're going, hey, I like this, to use this. The only place to buy this is going to be your shop. And the customers are going to get 5% or whatever percent discount from the compliment tag that we are giving them. But in the second step, if this whole thing actually works and it turns out we make money from this, you know how startup studios are made? We are making startup or small companies for people that has the know-how, and then we need to go kill ourselves to find customers for them. Well, this is going to be a much, much better way to go about it. We would partner up with the influencers and we know the right product for you, and we have the right contacts with the factories, with the branding. We design it, we give it to you, we take a cut of the company, and let's just grow it together, which is what's happening currently with a lot of
direct to consumer stuff. Is basically, this is the funnel.
Yeah, and they have instant access to sales, and it's crazy. Like it would take us 4 or 5 years to get a SaaS company off the ground, but with these influencers, they get it off the ground almost overnight, because they built a reputation for whatever it is that they're doing, whether they are only promoting fashion stuff or beauty stuff or music or whatever it may be. People trust them. So when they go, this is a good thing, people just run and order them.
Yeah. Yeah, you have a live wire audience, like with a built-in trust mechanism. Then it's just maintaining that trust relationship. And then if there's a product relationship there, it's just making sure that there is influencer product audience fit.
Yep.
Yeah.
How much, like, so how much of this is manufacturing need? Like how much of it is that someone really needs something versus there's a felt sense of needing something? And then the reason I ask that is, do you have to keep innovating because people get bored of the, like,
Yeah.
you know what I mean? Like, I would sense that it would take not a long time, like months and months. But there's like that, just the digital, because digital technology it can be so rapid, like people will see something novel. It's kind of exciting. So they're like, oh, I'll get into that. And then after a while, they sort of like taper off, and then you give them something new and they want to try that. So I'm just curious how much of it is this sort of novelty. Yeah. And like not manufacturing need in a bad way necessarily, but it's more of like experimental sort of shopping. I don't know if that makes sense.
I mean, I got amazed, which is why I'm doing all of these non-digital experiments, because I just want to get out of it, because I've seen the progress with how long it takes to make money digitally versus this. Products that become a brand they don't get there by just delivering a better product. They get there by telling a better story.
Yes.
Um,
Marketing technique. Yep.
and I looked into it when I'm experimenting with perhaps making something for myself for clothes. And the factories of most of these brands that I was following on Instagram are the same. So there are branding products that already exist. They're just adjusting them. So there are a lot of these factories where they go, you can pick a packaging, or you can pick the size, or you can kind of adjust the size, different sizes of these things. And they're all just selling them to, there are well-known UK-based brands that are making millions in sales a month, and it's just using the same factories, the same design. There's nothing unique about them other than how the type of the kind of the customers they are targeting with their product and the story they tell.
Yep, how they're positioning the product and what it, I mean, it's feeling. You're selling like a felt sense of like,
yeah,
what you could be, like when you have
exactly.
Yep.
And with like SaaS solutions, for something to be adopted, something else may be turned off. So if roadmap needs to get into companies, well, they need to let go of whatever they were using in the past. But with these consumer facing products, I mean, not digitally, I mean, like a juice or a clothes or whatever it may be, you can have of, bunch of different brands that you could like simultaneously, and you don't have to let go of what you liked before.
Yep.
So it's very ease of buying with customers that are kind of approaching these type of things and digital things.
I mean, if that is true as a market thing, then you need to stay relevant. So because you're on a treadmill, because there is so much, it's an intentional thing. I mean, you can get brand loyalty from some set amount of customers. What is the minimum set of customers to keep the brand propped up or whatever?
That's
and then,
what one of my questions was, is about loyalty or commitment
on the brand.
Yeah.
All product story. Common Project has been selling the same shoes for many, many years without actually bringing any new products to the market. Every new product.
Yeah.
This is the same thing in SaaS though. If you have a hit on a product, like it's defensible because you have, it's interesting. I think that you just speak this language better. Like if you understand the landscape and the psychology of the thing, then you can make moves in that landscape to stay ahead of the game or invent the game.
It's kind of fun too. Like if you like to rapidly experiment, which it feels like you do, you get to come up with new little, it's like games of engaging with people for things that they want these things. It's not,
And I just like the ease of selling these compared to anything else that we've tried digitally. And then I'm just so excited about Compliment because I believe that agency can make a lot more than what Tree Drops have been able to make, just because I'm fighting with the design teams in-house to get a say into the product.
Yeah.
But with marketing, there is a budget already set aside. They are looking for other agencies. They cannot do this in-house because they don't have the team of perhaps influencers and whatnot. With products, it's very, very similar. I'm not, for you to kind of fill my brand, you don't need to hate what you currently like, which is the problem with SaaS. We're fighting with Asana. So we go, the way that you are working there is wrong. And here's why those type of processes implemented in those products are not doing you any good. But in that means I'm telling you, you're not smart. You should get smart and use this. And then people don't respond to that as quickly as, hey, you could look cool if you have this. They're like, sure.
Yeah, it's hard for me as a consumer because I don't like buying things. Like I am not a target audience for any of this. I don't switch up things. Like if I find something, I kind of like stick to it. I don't like subscription stuff. I don't like being sold that. It makes me upset because I'm like, I don't need to consume more than I'm already consuming. I'll go buy the thing when it runs out. So it's interesting to hear this, like the patterning makes sense. I'm abnormal though. Like I'm sort of.
But even that, right? There are some certain things, which is why, like with Renklar, I'm just very curious about products that people not paying any attention to. Like even as far as like toilet paper, you need them on a recurring basis. It's
I was
just a
just-
necessity.
The one thing that I would like, and I've seen this, is tampons, like
Right.
organic cotton, like something, because apparently they treat the cotton with like something, like a lot of the bigger brands. So there was a whole movement about like organic tampons and like other like feminine need products. That's one thing where I would be willing to be sold to, like in that space. I'd be curious, like, and I'm not gonna go do the research to see what the landscape is.
Yeah.
Which is like, this actually came up too. Like there are times when I do want to be sold to, like I was looking for, I forget what it was. I think it was a specific kind of pant that would look like they were kind of like nice, like I could wear it out and about, but also I could wear it hiking. Like I wanted something versatile. And we were talking about using Instagram to sort of game that, where you could go search for like ads to find like one brand of it. And the second you click that one like ad, it's going to start dishing you up things that are similar. So, which is kind of nice. So it'd be, I'm assuming that there's whole websites where you can go do this, but it would be nice to be able to tailor basically the like advertising query. Show me these things. I think maybe you can do this on Instagram now, like specifically. That would be nice. Like if you like, I want to be sold on this, help me make the decision. Like there's a whole.
I mean, it's already currently happening. If we do a Google search, then
Google's garbage though. Like the UI on Google is not like, I don't want to buy anything off of there. Like I don't like the way it looks, like the way things are formatted. I'd rather.
So we're talking about storefronts here.
Yes.
Algorithmically mediated storefronts.
Yes.
So like Google is like
just old. It feels.
It's like a
not
JC
fresh.
Penney's or something
Yeah.
versus like
Yeah.
going to one of the upscale malls on Instagram or something like this. So like,
Well, like what Farzad's presenting, I'm sort of like, I don't know, like I could feel into, like I would want to go into that marketplace because of how he's doing things. It's fresh, it's interesting. They're like curating, like, I mean, I don't know, there's a felt sense of it. It feels.
the marketplace is mediated by following certain types of people's lives, though. It's less of going to a store and more following along with the narrative.
But I don't do that.
Okay, so
I'm saying
you are talking about a different market. Your sensibilities seem to be culturally different.
Yeah.
Yeah. So you are.
I'm just trying to think of something I would want, right? Like
A style of commerce that you would want.
it's stylistically in alignment with what they're building, but the delivery method, I'm not gonna find it, right? Because
You're
I'm
saying
not,
an on-ramp for purchasing for
Yes.
alternate. Yeah, sure. Like you could do another line of business to attract consumers that are non-influencer based.
well, it could even be influencer based, but I don't want to have to follow, like, I don't need the feed. Like
Where is the trust coming from?
I
why
can go read like what they've been producing and like follow, like I could not follow, but I could go, it's like doing research. Like, so the way that I do it is I consolidate things. Like I need something new. I want to go research it. I could go to this website and there's 50 influencers who have reviewed all these different tampons. And I could go see like, these 5 influencers have been like explicitly focused on only feminine products. So I'm probably going to trust them a little bit more. 2 of them have been doing this deep dive for whatever reason on like menstrual products for the last 3 months. And I'm like, that's interesting. Like,
Are these influencers doing that type of thing? Or are they just showing it in like snippet process? Like here is a thing that I use. I'm using this. It makes me feel like this. And then it's glowy or like, what is the content type for,
in this world that I'm creating, people are sharing their process of how they're testing, how they're using,
Yeah,
like
there are
why this
entire
is
beauty
important.
networks doing this. Yeah.
And they're like, you know, they're saying I'm being paid to do this, but like I'm choosing, because I'm an influencer, I am choosing like to search and or to do work in this area because I care about it, which
Yeah. What is that thing called?
that makes sense too, because
There
as
are-
an influencer, you can choose any niche market, you could do whatever you wanted, but you choose something usually because it calls to you, because
Super
you're
duper.
passionate.
Yeah. One of Pascal's good friends runs one of these.
Hmm.
Or she's a partner in it. It's out of New York.
Yeah, I guess part of the thing I'm feeling into also is what happens when you take influencing off of these existing platforms like Instagram. Like what happens when you own the entire process more? Because
the means of influence.
yeah,
Yeah. So it's
because I think this is valuable. Like I think I trust people, influencers. I think maybe there's a rebrand there at some point. Because influencing, like, they're doing more than that.
Sounds bad, right?
Like they're doing research and analysis to like inform you as the consumer, like as a real person, and how you show your trustworthiness, that you're not just bullshitting. Like over time, there's going to be new ways to evolve that. And like, I'm a real person. I'm actually doing this. This is why I'm doing this. I care about this. I want people to know about this
yeah,
product.
there's a lot of this on like YouTube. You
Yeah.
get these
Reviews.
disclaimers and all this other stuff. Like, I don't know how.
Yeah.
I think it probably the upper end in the celebrity camps and stuff. There's agencies and management stuff and deal brokering and positioning and placement. All of this stuff is pretty sophisticated.
We talked about this too with there's a community and a product that we've been involved with a little bit called Objet, which is about intentional purchasing and like sort of reducing consumption. And but even in that world, like people are still buying things. So those people are like, how, like it would be nice to have a place where people could go who are more minimalist and talk about what they're purchasing and why. So it's influencing again, but it's not people who have that job. So they're like this role of letting people share their experience and like tell you why they like something. Like, I don't know, that pattern works, even if it's not like a profession, I guess.
I mean, influencing wasn't a profession until it was.
Yeah.
The stage and the attentional economy.
Yeah.
Like you get people who gravitate towards it, and then it's gameable. And then
Yep.
if it becomes a zero sum game because attention is zero sum.
Yep.
If there is a thing where if you are not paying attention to me, you are paying attention to someone else.
Yep.
So there are
Which is
game
true.
mechanics
Yeah.
in that where you attract attention. So what you're talking about, or the extension of this, is trust. And part of like the influencer thing is consistently showing up with things that are relevant to interest, right? If interest then moves into something that is more sustainable or higher quality, or these are a different type of consumer, right? Versus somebody who is looking for the newest fashion, the thing that will complete them or whatever it is. If you were trying to find an altruistic version of this thing, there are people, I mean, I've seen a lot of this stuff where like some of the influencing, at least in like sort of, let's call it richer places, has become around self-care and,
Yeah.
these
It's a
kinds of
branded
things.
form.
Well, it becomes a religion, it becomes a movement, it becomes a lifestyle.
Yep.
So like, there are so then you have a couple things that you were pointing to, the environment that is mediated by something like Instagram. So if Instagram changes the methodology in which you can communicate with your customer base or your influencer fan base, that is a liability if you were running a business. Because you have platform lock-in. So if you're not managing your own like fandom or whatever it is, you could have your anyway. So
your income.
yeah, so the delivery mechanism and relationship to your fans or followers, and then so that's an entire like sphere of understanding, and there's sort of a neutrality, a movement, a stance in running a business that way. Then there is also the like targeting the type of market that you are, like the demographic consumer base or whatever you want, if you want to put it in the like advertising terms, like could you use this model to then approach? Yes, but you would need influencers for whom like your target demo trusted and has built a relationship, and those channels can be different. Yeah. But so you could develop that line of like basically a surface area across that demographic, but you'd have to understand that demographic, and you'd have to have contacts, you could build up a sort of stable or group that would attract this thing. So I mean, for whatever reason, I've thought about talent agencies and like all of this stuff a lot.
I just like, part of why I bring it up is because for some reason I have like no interest in following people on Instagram other than people I know directly.
You don't use Instagram like the large
so I'm just
majority.
Trying to understand that, like my sort of like approach to that. Like,
okay,
I even have a good friend, Jana, who she basically follows like mental health influencers.
Yeah.
And I'm like, I can't follow this shit because it feels like someone's trying to sell me mental health. Like there's this, there's just a weird, for me, like it just, yeah.
I mean, it depends, right? Before you purchase a product, you would go on internet and then it would try to read the reviews. All of these review creators are today called influencers. So influencers are not sellers or sales agents, but they are just reviewing.
I love
product.
reviews.
So
yeah, I'd rather read the reviews instead of like following, like there's
you do this through text.
Yeah.
You're just more literate.
Yeah.
So there is the whole thing started with YouTube. People were just purchasing a bunch of stuff and then they were reviewing them. A lot of the time they weren't purchasing them. They were getting these things delivered to their place. And with Instagram is now with all kinds of products and in a much shorter time. A picture is enough of a review because this person has built a kind of a reputation that they would only promote the products that they like. And then it's not, I think, again, like you said, and it's true, the name of influencer is very misleading because you feel you are cheating or you are being cheated on because, or something like that.
I don't think it's true.
Influencing you to change your business.
Exactly. It's like manipulative.
The right pick.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. So there is a version of this, like,
how do we rebrand the name?
Well, we can talk about how it works. I mean, if we're talking about the landscape of influence, which we seem to be.
Yeah. And how different people are influenced and like the methods by which this happen and like who can facilitate it.
It comes down to trust, right? And the more skeptical or intentional or, there's a bunch of different framings here. But like, so my example of this, I have like a policy because I like was able to buy a lot of things when I made a lot of money. And so you then have an abundance problem. Like, okay, so why am I buying these things? There needs to be some reason that I'm bringing it into my life. And especially if I'm living in spaces that are smaller and smaller, I cannot have too many things.
Yep.
I solved this before by like creating businesses so that I could try a lot of products and then just resell them at a profit so that I could pay, it's another thing. You're doing this like with the juicing thing, right? You get to experience a part of the world by being engaged with its market activities. I did this with bikes. I did this with cameras. I did this with a bunch of different types of hobbies. And that was it. But I would end up not selling enough stuff and creating inventory. And, it didn't, because it was a lot of work to do this.
Yeah.
So if there was an influencer there, it would perhaps succeed,
Yeah, I mean, well, this was pre like the big social media stuff. I was able to do my version of this in smaller markets, like on eBay and then message boards.
Yeah.
So people, and then people got to know like that I sold bikes that were like, because I was building them myself, and then I like wouldn't sell anything that I wouldn't use.
Yeah.
So this is
one
so
you can talk about too, like I built this bike for this specific reason, and this is how it rode. Like you have experience where you
Yeah.
can talk about the felt sense of riding a bike that is built like this, and speeds and gearing.
Well, I also know
and-
exactly the people I'm selling to have this understanding
Yeah.
too, whatever. So extrapolate that out, like, and I quit all this because the markets got more sophisticated. They became a full-time job. It became
Yeah.
less fun,
Yeah.
all this stuff. And then competing in a landscape where you have Instagram, and it's a much different story. So at first I was like, as Instagram became more of a platform for selling, because this is after Facebook took it over and it became an ad-based product. Like it is an interface for developing
Advertisements.
desire, right? And then capitalizing on desire and Facebook is making the lion's share of the money here. Like most of the money is going to Facebook. There are subsidiary markets that the influencers are participating in, but the margins on that stuff compared to what Facebook is doing
Yeah.
are abysmally small, just insanely small. So like if you were able to capture the majority of the value as an influencer that is being produced in this environment, you would be making not $2,000 per thing, like $10, $20, $100,000 per, because that's the amount of money that is being generated. Obviously it's lopsided
Yeah.
to the small percentage of the people who have
Yep.
like the crucial
Who are the
influence.
best. Yeah.
This tendency tends to happen in centralized systems over and over and over again. All of the value accrues to
The platform owner.
yeah. So
The platform owner, and you get like,
I went on a rampage there, but I was talking about something else. But yeah.
well, you get the thing where there's only space for like the top influencers getting the lion's share of the.
It gets more and more competitive
Yeah.
the further you are down the stack to get the same amount of attention. And if the market is not being balanced properly,
Mhm.
like for that, it just, well, there's economies of scale and all this other stuff. The more influence you have, the higher your margins get, the further that you can spread your influence, these kinds of things. So I don't like those games particularly, like, and they have a felt sense to them. Like the bigger the product, the more washed and it, like the quality goes down generally, because it becomes a popularization. Like this is the same mechanic in like food, right? So the further abstracted away to more people that it applies to, the less likely I'm going to enjoy it. And that can be, a personal taste thing, that can be whatever. That's not always true, but it tends to be true. So like, how do I do any purchasing now? Like it's typically a lot more intentional. Like I'm going to need a car at some point, or, something like this. And so I start looking into what it's like to live with the existing cars. There's all this content on YouTube and stuff. And like, you can sort of watch people, it's a style of influencing just for like mechanically minded, mostly dudes,
Mhm.
right? Like, or these trucks that people are off-roading with, or like outlanding, or a van or something like this. This is how I built the whole van. This is how I live in the van. Here are the problems that are coming with the van. Here's the maintenance costs. Like you can,
all the time.
yeah. So you are getting like a trusted review from somebody who is living with the product,
Yep.
right? And so, okay, like this is where the Web3 stuff comes in. How can you then reward like people who are engaging with something over the long term to make sure that there is a trusted thing? With individual use products or whatever, it's like, this thing basically works, right? Like you can trust me because look, I did it on my, whatever. But for like larger ticket items and these kinds of things, or things that you're going to live with for a lot longer, like, I don't know, there's something that's just I also don't buy anything. So like, because Shopping
what-
is not fun anymore.
what
Like
is
it
your-
used to be fun to research these things, find the thing that matches you, whatever. But yeah.
What's the point of that story with the car?
So that's another style of influencing. It is more in depth or whatever. But you know, so I am
That's a
choosing,
big ticket item too. Yeah.
but I'm at the place where I don't need many things, right? So there's a spectrum
Yeah.
of like, you know, consumable goods that live in your life a lot,
Yep.
right? And so, you know, the direct to consumer versions of this, like you can go on Instagram, and if they knew that I was into this stuff, I would start getting, I
Ads.
did
Yeah.
like ads for these very particularly highly designed, like, you know, experiences that are going to make my life better.
Mhm.
They never do. Like some of them, rarely.
Like what?
You know, a shaving system or whatever, right? It's just the male version of this. They, you know, and yeah, anyways, I don't know. So the point of this is like,
Yeah, there's a
what
big,
kinds of products would I like to see in the world? Like, because you can move through these phases of understanding, like the direct to consumer, like products, if they are being manufactured in the way that you're talking about, Farzad, where like they're all made in the same sort of factory.
Yep.
Like there is no attention to the like upstream consequences of how these things are being made. Like you don't really know who's making them. There's a sensitivity and intentionality that I believe will be developed in consumer culture at the higher end, which is I want to know where the fucking thing came from. I want to know who made it. It's the same thing as the animal stuff,
chicken. Yeah.
right? So like where in the supply chain, how did you get the material to make it? How are the people treated who built that stuff? This is where
that's
like,
where Web3 can come in because it shows lineage. Like
yeah,
supply
and
chain.
products that can do that will be inherently worth more, and the people along the whole supply chain can capture that value.
Yep.
This will take a long time. But
Yep.
so working in supply chain and this kind of thing to build products in the mechanisms that are available now and keeping an eye on where it's going to go will make this a viable long-term project. So right now you're playing with marketing and like tying marketing to atoms, right? So like having a push-pull on demand. That demand can develop though in sensibility. So if you want to reach a broader, like usually richer audience, if that's what you're looking to do, there are nuanced sensibilities in the purchasing. Like the story can now be part of the story, and status is making it sustainable, right? So when somebody who buys an object can say that like, look, this object is valuable because all the way down through the supply chain, it has been like, there are stories all the way through that. And this thing that I am using like takes into account these, and you know, this story chain. That's not true for all, but it's true of the demographic that you were talking about.
Yep.
I think, because if you can go research how it all got made and where it all came, I mean, you get versions of this with this sort of altruistic buying with like Tom's shoes and, you know, these kinds of things.
Mhm.
Anyway, that thing I've been tracking,
Mhm.
like this movement in, I'm not trying to make anything here, but I'm curious about the cultural trends around purchasing to see how consumer sensibilities are evolving. Because if they're evolving in a direction that I'm aligned with, that's nice. Because I can sell into that, and I can sell into that very easily and sleep well at night, which it's kind of hard to do that some other ways, you know, if you have an understanding of the entire supply chain and where some of this is coming from. It's this,
Yeah.
The more enlightened you are about these things, the more you have to square it philosophically to do business, or I have to anyway. So, but I think if you're in alignment with like the spiritual sensibilities of a populace, like there is a higher trust coefficient there, which makes the commerce, the market relationship a lot higher.
Yep.
Like, which is a good way to do business because you're less stressed. The consumer is less stressed, you know, and you make clean money.
Yep.
Clean money spends better.
That's nice.
That's what that was about.
More fun to work on it too.
Yeah. It's just more reciprocal. Like
Yeah.
you get back more for the money made. Like the money is deeper.
Yeah. And it's
Valuable.
just so insane. Like with running an agency or a designer, you go, all right, I'm a designer, so my next natural step is to start my own thing. So I start freelancing. I'm not working for a company. Next natural step, agency. And this is the ladder I just need to go up. It's such a wasteful way of living life if this is that linear and you decided it when you were like 18 or 16 or however old you were. You can shift radically and try different things. And every time you do that and you figure out there is something you like about it and anything that you like and you have the time to spend on it, you'll get gradually better at it. And with all of the business knowledge that you get, it's so much more rewarding than the digital stuff because it's really meaningless. Those things.
You're at that phase with this. So like
I think
I've done it for a long time. We watched a thing about this. Like there is a process in which I'm getting it, like I think it was with Daniel Zaruba and John Vervaeke, the nihilism thing.
Oh, yeah,
So-
paradigmatic shift.
Yeah, so you're going through a paradigm shift, like in your understanding of the types of things you do, right? And then everybody sort of, you go, like in life, people go through these things, right? And part of the process is a thing that you previously saw and loved as like being a certain way, like has, like you've grown out of seeing it in that way. And the part of the process of that is like it's a nihilism. Like you see how it is meaningless. Like
Meaningless,
you see how like it is empty in certain ways in the way that you were looking at it. And that is a part of saying goodbye to it so that it can come back in a more developed way where you can see how, okay, that particular instantiation of the thing, the way the stance in relationship to that thing, like is a younger stance. It is not complex enough for the type of person I am now. So like it's meaningless. So because you need to push it away.
Yeah, it helps you move away from it.
So you
Helps
can see it
transition
fresh.
into something new.
Yeah. And that takes time sometimes. Like it took me probably 2 or 3 years.
Especially if you fight it at all.
Yeah, because I was trying to continue to have the exact relationship with digital blah, blah, blah. And like every time, like, this feels like shit. I hate this. It's pointless. Why does anybody do this? Like, and it took,
You still have it.
I'm not done with it. Still working on this. Because I need to experience with my own self how it's different, why it's different, that it affords something different.
Yep.
Because I'm so skeptical now. That's how it goes. For you, it seems like you're just going to experiment with other stuff and seeing what you can play with. I mean, this mentality.
It's playful. It's good.
Yeah,
go see
goof
what
around
it's
with
like somewhere else. Like, what's it feel like over there? How does it differ from where you were?
Yeah.
Yeah. Just fun things to do during the COVID lockdown.
That's part of it.
Yeah, if you can have some personal growth during COVID, that's great.
Yeah, I think that these like sort of prison sentences, they have like some,
Yeah.
they'll get you thinking. I mean, you run out of all the normal
You get
distractions that you
creative.
have, and
Yeah.
so you have to get creative to. It's where boredom is not a bad thing.
No, not really true.
Yeah, I think a lot of people are like getting used to being uncomfortable, or some
They're
amount of
trying.
people, like they just get sick of watching Netflix or whatever the hell
Yeah, they're
else.
finding new things to do.
Yeah.
I mean, if your hobby is making businesses, you're going to get creative about making businesses.
It's true.
I have a friend who's making, Gail has been, I haven't talked to her in forever, but she's been getting into weaving on like these big looms, and she's making blankets and scarves and stuff. And like, there's all kinds of techniques, and it's like, it's cool because it's really tactile, and she does knowledge work. Like she works in a big health system. So she's like like an administrator, and like having the tangible thing to work with, like, and it's getting more and more complex. I'm just like, holy shit, this is wild. But it's like a nice outlet. I don't know that she would have been able to get that into it, like without the COVID stuff. I don't know. There's a silver lining.
So this is a trend. This tendency is a cultural trend that is worth looking at. I've been following it sort of like like extrapolating out.
Mhm.
So if you have a large percentage of the people in the world now have gone through this kind of thing, right? Where they have like gotten so crazed that they're willing to go play with hobbies, things that they're interested in. Like, what does that do to what does that do to the general sense of the world, right? Like you have all of these people who, I don't know, I have been feeling into this. Like, what does it mean? It means that like people have a better sense of who they are in relationship to certain things, right? And like,
I think it makes people feel like there's more flexibility and like opportunity in the world, because
that's good.
they've been forced into this like position of feeling stuck, and then they have to unstuck themselves, or they're just depressed and eating ice cream and watching Netflix. And a good majority of people, I think, are just like, I can't do this anymore. It's driving me crazy. And like, you know, there is some portion that can't pull themselves out of it, and they're having a mental health like flare up or something, and they're stuck in that loop, but they're stuck basically.
Sure.
I don't know. I mean, there's probably some people who are finding more productivity in like how they're watching Netflix, and like maybe they're reviewing stuff, or they're like,
sure, I mean,
they're like super into film or movies
yeah.
or TV shows, and they're like doing more analysis on it, and they're understanding their relationship to media. There's all kinds of stuff. Yeah. I don't know.
The meta sensibility here is that there are things like available in the world
Yes.
that like I could be doing.
Yes.
Right. So this is, I think, in alignment with the creator economy stuff.
Yeah.
The quote unquote creator economy. That's like a label for something that like venture capitalists can invest in and create markets out of. But the general principle here is that a lot of people were able to get in touch with.
Yeah. Creative economy, maybe.
You can get rid of economy altogether. Like it's economy is just a market centric way of looking at a phenomena.
Creative lifestyle.
And like the capital sort of centric systems will move them into something that can be commoditized. But generally speaking, I think people are getting in touch with like a part of themselves. A sensitivity has been developed now that creating things is viable and useful and interesting and fulfilling. Right.
Yeah.
And so products and services and like lifestyles that take that into account, that help people afford to bring that creativity up, are going to be extremely like successful. I think this is the creator economy thing.
That makes sense.
Anyways, this is another one. This one I've been tracking ambiently because it's related to something. Well, at least you and we have been professionals at this. And the professional landscape is changing phenomenally in relationship to like people who make things for other people. It used to be very extremely like exclusive.
Yep.
That exclusivity is disappearing rapidly, which is why running a design agency is tough, because you've got all of the world like now having access to the understanding that you can make money this way.
Yep.
So it became very competitive, and I don't like competitive landscapes.
Yeah.
I like places where I can be good without having to try hard. Anyways, I don't know. I brought that up. Sorry, I'm on a rampage.
No, it's just niching. I feel like there is no untouched landscape anymore. Just now we are realizing that you cannot just go and
Web3 frontier.
Web3. It's just
Web3.
landscape after landscape that no one's living in yet, because it's so insane that
Well, the
like,
technology bridge is being
Yeah.
built, so like a lot of it is can't even be touched yet. You got to build the bridge out to get there, to get to the next pasture.
yeah,
And then
like
when
there's
the
no
next
electricity lines here.
And once
Yeah.
the electricity lines are laid, like people go bananas.
Yeah.
You guys
A
should
lot
take
of it-
pictures as you guys doing this, because I feel like this could be the early days of Apple, when Apple had those like classic early days photos that are just sitting there, 10 people sitting next to each other thinking about Mac.
Yeah, I think that more
this house
people
has
can
a-
have those stories in the same way that
Yep.
like more people in the influencer world can be celebrities. They're just smaller celebrities.
Yeah, I think it's smaller scale.
Yeah. So like
It's less
it's
like
mediated.
we were talking about this on our hike with John, like the media stars, like people having in the future probably less influence consolidated into one person. It's probably more distributed amongst groups. I mean, and some of them will be more popular than others. There will be some concentration of talent and attention, but I think that it's less concentrated on just a handful of creators, basically. Because if
Yeah.
everyone can be a creator, that means, I don't know.
You have
there's-
early trends in this in like hype houses, like, and you know, a lot of the larger scale influencers are staffs, their teams, their entire. I mean,
Yeah.
there's an entire business behind these people.
Yep.
I think that there will be a sensitivity developing. This is what we were talking about, that these things are group activities.
How things are made. Yeah.
And if there is a sensibility that like, oh, that product or that influencer is actually 20 people, the more that you advertise and showcase those 20 people, the stronger the relationship to the truth will be, and the understanding the sensitivity of your followers. So like giving them stories about something that they know, or helping them understand. You know, I
Which
think that
then-
there will be a tendency in that direction.
Which then gives people more on-ramps to seeing themselves in that kind of production, because they're like, oh, I could do that. Like I could be part of like a team that does that, instead of like,
The likelihood is that they are already going to be doing that.
Yep.
So they will start to understand how it's done.
Yep.
And then when you see somebody who, I don't know.
yeah. I mean, this feels positive.
It can be. I mean, I don't, it could go a lot of different ways.
Yeah.
It could go the opposite way too. I think that entities or people who are moving in that direction will be, it's just a better business. It's a better way of doing it.
Yep.
Like it's more in alignment with you'll just have an easier time.
Yep.
Whether or not that happens and that catches as a cultural phenomenon at scale, I don't know. I'm worse at picking those.
I wonder, like most of the celebrities that we know now came from, not most, but some, I guess, there were influencers like social media people
Yeah.
that are showing up in movies, and the line between celebrities and influencers will fade away very soon.
It's just it's the evolution of celebrity. So this has to do with your media ecology. So in a media ecology where you have broadcast and there's 4 channels
Mhm.
and there's movie screens, and it's really expensive
Mhm.
to put faces on those things, like really expensive, which means that only
Yeah.
the most
production-
compelling people get to go there. Like
Right.
the insane, rare, scarce people.
Yep. And it's super competitive then to be that person.
There
Yeah.
aren't that many. There's like, this is why Tom Cruise, you know, he has something, you know, these people who stick around for a long time.
Yep.
Um,
Charisma.
yeah, those people will always be successful in any system that rewards the type of thing that they are, right?
Oh, yeah.
Fine. But that is the attentional focus on the media landscape is now being distributed.
Yep.
Which means that you get a lot more and the type of
There's
thing.
a lot more channels, there's a lot more stations, there's a lot more stages, screens, like,
So then it's like,
you don't have to syndicate out just the same person over and over again. People would be
Yeah.
bored.
so it's becoming a much broader industry, which means that it has complexities.
Yep.
And now you can be, as a professional, a
Yep.
celebrity. Like, you know, if you have charm in
Yeah.
your like sort of local area and you have distribution ability. So then you end up with things like talent agencies.
Yep.
This happened in Hollywood. Looking at Hollywood for like styles of business for managing like,
Yeah,
you
you
know,
were talking about
influence and
this.
celebrity is probably, that's where the best case studies are going to be.
Yep.
Because you had an entire industry and lots of material that you can read into to get ideas on like what to look for.
Yep.
So anyways, this is talent
Yeah.
stuff.
Well, this is, remember we were talking about, like I read about Justin Bieber's team
Yeah.
and like his, I don't know if it's his agent, like his main agent, like it's more of like a family. Like
Yeah.
they have a relationship with Justin and his family, and like he knows them and her family, and like, she's like the way that things work, it's intimate, like it's deeply intimate, like they know each
Yeah.
other as people, they share in like experiences, they support each other in ways, like her like showing up for like a show of his, like in her, like it's interesting. I've never really like read about and like understood how these things worked, but it makes sense, especially with big productions like something like Justin Bieber. Like there's so many aspects to it, there's so much money, so many people's lives tied to it as well, that it's not transactional. Like it's like their relationship is not transactional.
You have to mediate the transactional with like a healthy human relationship.
Well, otherwise he is like, I mean, he's been vocal about what it's like to grow up in like this kind of business. Like if you're not taking care, like it's weird, he's like an asset. I mean, he, you know,
It is an asset.
Yeah. Like
this is what kills
And a lot of people
celebrity. This is
invested
where
in
you
it.
end up with people like Britney Spears,
Yes,
who she is
cracking
so
up.
fucked like over
Yeah.
her entire life.
Well, and like Justin Bieber, like I've been following his work for a while because I like his music. I like the pop thing. I think it's interesting. Like I don't know, like I've followed his story some. He's had a more healthy familial relationship too. Like it's always been part of his story, and like I don't, you know, how much of it is honest and truthful, but
it's sculpted. It's all sculpted.
For what it's worth though, his parents have been around and it doesn't feel manipulative like Britney Spears' parents. Like there's an open dialogue with the world about, and even if they're making it up, it's less.
Sure, if they're not making it up, then great.
Well, even
and
if
it may be easier to run this thing
even if they are, and then they can live in accordance with the story that they're making up, fine, and it works for everyone, and like there's actual relationships and like people care about each other.
It's like corporate culture.
They're also
we are the type of people who believe in this, and then if you don't enact that in the public, then the public will turn on you.
Well, they also come from a very religious background, a very Christian background.
Sure.
So I don't know. I mean, yeah, that's interesting too. Like you bring with you some kind of like communal something, because he doesn't come from a family of, like, you sometimes find this where you come from a family of celebrities and there's just like a way of like being in this, like
it's
limelight.
It's like aristocracy.
He didn't have that, and like he was like a small town Canadian, whatever. And like I saw one of the first interviews that his mom did. Like, it was something like,
I mean, these stories sell so well.
But go back to the very beginning when he was just like an early star, and she's talking about like the church group and stuff like that. You're just like, what the fuck? Like that, there's no PR there. Like it's so thin. I don't. It's
PR is boiling that up and sharing that because it works. So like, it doesn't need to be a cynic. Anyways, I think that what we're poking around here, or what I am like
Feeling
responding
into,
to,
yeah.
is the same thing about like the consistency of where the art is coming from. Like, I want to know how it's made, who is making it,
Yeah.
like what is their relationship to each other in making it.
Yeah.
Like, it's hard to trust these large scale popularized consumer art products, like, because the manufacture of what's happening there is like, it's not necessarily good for everybody through the artistic supply chain. So like, I have a wary relationship to large scale art products because I have seen the artists who have to manufacture the visual and culture products. And a lot of these people are not well, and they're being treated poorly through the supply chain.
Yeah. How do you do like a supply chain for talent so that you could see that people are taking care of themselves?
It is radically changing now because of this creator sensibility. More and more people are understanding what it takes to make these things, which means that they will be sensitive to cultural products that have an understanding of the health of like what is being made.
Yeah.
So if you're in the business of being a talent agent, if you're in the business of taking care of talent.
Well, this is why like the Me Too movement is sort of like a sensitivity to this, because in the process of making a lot of these like mainstream pieces of media, and like this specific, it's just one perspective, but male executives, men in power, taking advantage of women in the process, and then creating these like big works of art, and people are like, oh, it's such an amazing movie, and like there's people that were part of making this movie that was like, yeah, I was abused during the like lifespan of this movie. But it's not just women, like it's probably a lot of other.
The abuse can take sexual form, it can take like economic form, it can take like racial form.
Certain people getting paid more or less when it's not equitable, or certain people taking like advantage of certain situations because they have power.
What's important, all of the stance in relationship to this understanding is what's important, because there can be a stance that it is absolutely off limits and it is fucking evil. And then, okay, now even thinking about like how this stuff influences the world gets off limits.
You couldn't watch any movies or TV shows.
No, I mean, well, even working with it though, like participating in culture, like you start to.
How are you participating in culture?
So people who build culture, who create culture, who work in culture, like people who are creating fashion and lifestyle and these kinds of things, the way that they think about this stuff, like the way that their relationship is, mediated to cultural work is important. And there are a lot of tendencies.
How do they share that though? So like what I'm talking about is on the consumer side, like if you don't know how people are making things. And then we're
talking around the same thing. So like,
how do the people that are making culture give voice to it in a way that's trusted? Again, it's the influencer thing. I mean, like, why do we not trust Justin Bieber's story? Like all of these things. If you have a bunch of people who are on his team talking about what the experience is like what, so
we are moving closer to what underlies what some of the power that influencers have by showing up consistently and showcasing parts of their life.
Yep.
So this is where we've gotten into like publishing these kinds of things or whatever. So there are more and more sophisticated and like compelling ways to do this. I talked about like watching people, like I'm developing an understanding of who is faking it.
Yep.
Right. And so
and this is partially like we've talked about, if you show your process, which is why like Farzad, what you're doing with all these experiments, like little case studies, like here's what we've been doing, here's why we're doing it. Like that is just as interesting to me as like the product itself, because I don't know what's the
Yeah.
backstory, like that kind of stuff. I don't like.
There
that
are a
makes
bunch
sense.
of different ways to be interested in this as well.
Yeah,
For every type of person, there is a way to be interested in the material that is being
yeah.
expressed.
Like I might be less interested in the actual product that Farzad and M are putting out, but I am interested in their process. Like I'm
So-
really interested. Like, why this one? How did you come up with that? So it's nice to see the behind the scenes, like, here's how we picked the coloring. We thought it felt too medical, so we did a little bit of this. This is like and even why are we doing this in the first place? Well, we found that in M's experience of using the product and
Yeah.
it like that this could be a better way of doing it.
So the way that this is scaling is you are expressing what is being made and how it's being made and how the decision-making process is working.
Yep.
Right. And then like you have an audience who is watching this stuff and that is changing their behavior. This is a broadcast mode version of this.
Yep.
The next mode
Is the pure
is
mode.
the interactive mode.
Yep.
Where, and this is where we're working now, right? So the broadcast mode is sharing what you're doing, talking about how it's being made, and showing that the thoughtfulness or lack thereof in the process is,
Yeah,
part of the consuming experience,
There's
right?
a little bit of both, like in all products, because like M and Farzad are peers, and like their maid is a peer in this, and like she has a perspective, like in the story of Farzad and M hired me to do XYZ, and she can tell her version of it, and like
She can.
here's what I like to do. I like to come in and put this kind of music on in the morning. I like to be done
That's part of the story.
before they're up for the
Yes.
day. And some people might find that more interesting than Farzad's aspect, where he's like, I used to be a graphic designer. And then
So-
some people might be like, I'm totally into M. Like, I like her whole thing. And I like her story of like using the products because I identify more with that. And then all of this comes, they're
Yeah.
peering, but then that has to be broadcast.
So this is a broadcast standard for attentional funnels. So the more attentional funnels that you can have coming in, the broader the like follower count. Like you're putting together a talent agency of types of influencers who have a broad appeal across fashion and makeup and all this other stuff. You can add depth to that by having people within the supply chain, within the broader sphere of the ecosystem, sharing how they relate to it. So the next step after that is move it past broadcast and into interactivity. You can have your audience. This is where culture is moving longer term, because kids grow up playing video games and they like make stuff together in these video games. So like there is a sensibility to like, oh, I can just do this. Like, so let me participate in how the brand changes, how it starts to look. And like, you can go be part of a working group that like changes that relationship. So like, that is where.
But that's the part, right? Would they actually be interested in it?
If they're being rewarded in like stake. So for instance, their interest. So say for instance, right now you have an influencer, and that influencer has a bunch of like say she's a woman. She is primarily interested in expressing how she relates to the world through these brands and products, and also how she lives her life, right? And so other women like want to like emulate this. They want some of this magic in their life, which is a perfectly viable thing, right? And so they look to her to find product, not only her, other influencers too. You have your sort of stable of women that you look to as your, and this, you can purchase some of the products and services and do some of the activities that this influencer person is, producing. So at a certain point though, that is a one-way relationship. Like, and your only sort of method for communicating with it is buying stuff. It's hard. And like, maybe you can contribute money back to the influencer, so you get to continue that cycle. But there is a more engaging version of this where the influencer is part of the system, a type of role, but you can also like suggest things into the product, right? Like you can do some of it yourself. If you can participate in the role of the whole stage, like you have a more fulfilling experience of that relationship. You're not just buying stuff, you know? So there are a bunch of different ways that can morph into something else. If one of the most salient ways right now is with the crypto stuff is if you are part of that influencer's environment, by participating in that environment, you are paid. Like you receive some currency, some kind of thing. And there is now an economy for influencers who produce a better economy that reward their like patrons or followers or whatever with like economic like upside. Those communities are going to do better, right?
Yeah, like
So-
maybe you're bringing in more people to the community or something, like to the influencer sphere, because you're recommending her or something, and you get some kickback a little bit because you're bringing more people in.
Yeah, I mean, so I think ultimately you take the influencer out of that, they play a role within a broader ecosystem, and then the economy across it. So say you have a group of people
Well, the
who are
inf-
interested in a certain area like beauty, and they can
Well, there-
provide as a service, as a community, something that a singular like influencer couldn't produce. The influencer may just be the face on that.
Yeah, because the influencers now might be the people that are best at doing like more of the broadcast and like
Yeah,
um
yeah, that's a
they
role.
like being the face of something. They like, and then other people not so much, but they do want to participate in providing their perspective, and they want to test things too.
Yeah.
They just don't care as much about getting the word out.
Yeah, so I don't know, pairing influencers with communities where there's like a co-product development there. It's just different. It's a different model than pairing influencers with corporations. Like if you have the community invested in making product and these kinds of things, and influencers can move between communities to represent these things, but community like centric product development, right? I think will probably be worth more in the long run, like than corporate driven product development.
Makes sense.
So, but I don't know how the economic models of like distribution need to be developed in like Web3 stuff. So we're fucking crazy early on that.
Yeah, I mean, it's
Anyhow.
a switch.
So there's all that then. I mean, this is why it's nice to talk to you about these projects that you're building. Cause like you're going and doing all of this. I don't have the time or interest to like build these things. So it gives me a surface to think about like, oh, this is, I don't know. I like seeing the trends in this stuff and seeing where,
A thing in the world.
yeah. Mm.
I wonder how it goes though. We know this week we know tomorrow for compliment, how ridiculous is the idea of basically revenue sharing instead of you paying influencers. And then we take the hit. We're just being very overconfident with 4 million sales, 25%. That leaves us with 1 million. Fine. That's
Yeah.
not
It's a fun
horrible.
playing field.
Yeah. I mean,
If we
see how
fail,
close to your
then we're-
understanding of this thing you'll get.
Yeah, and it's I thought the numbers were big enough to kind of make them stop whatever it is that they're doing, and let's talk to this guy.
Yeah.
He maybe knows something that we don't. And I'm like, no, actually, let's just try this.
What was the influencers' sort of response to this? Were they like excited, like it was something new to try?
I mean, they are just dying to get projects, especially during this time. Companies are kind of freezing. They're like, we don't, all of the marketing budget is just going against.
Yeah,
paying the
everybody gets
people.
scared. Yeah.
Yeah, and I'm like, don't pay us anything. If we bring you the sales, can you share?
Yeah.
And 25% sounds about a good place to start. And if a big shop, like we are talking with 2 this week, if one of them says yes to this, then I will stop all the other. And even if they say yes to this, we need to test it with one company first to see how ridiculous is that idea of, is even 25% worth all of the problems? And
Yeah.
And the best way would actually, the next step of this would be collaborating with the company to produce something to bring more sales instead of us. Then Complement can design something together with this brand, and then it becomes a joint collaboration with a few influencers. They get a stake, we get a stake.
Yeah.
But it's a nice place to experiment with, because it seems like marketing is stuck. In especially influencer marketing is just stuck for years. Nothing has been happening there.
That's interesting. I'm curious if that's just Thailand or if in the bigger influencer marketing, like a stateside where you get the multi-million. So I know at least a couple people, Elias, like he runs I think he has 2 or 3 million followers, doing dog stuff. And like, yeah, he's got a staff, and like, I mean, he's pretty good as a businessman though. So, and sponsorships and all of these things. I don't know if he probably has representation. I think he does.
Interesting.
Yeah.
I mean, he is like creating books and stuff like of his work.
Like subsidiary products.
He's been around for so long too.
Yeah, he's
he
one of
got
the
in
older guard, I
early.
guess.
Yeah.
And he's running like an entertainment publishing company. Like, kind of. I mean, from what I've seen. So
his stuff is interactive too.
Yeah.
Like you get to feature your dog on his account. Like,
yeah,
people love that. I mean, anyone who gets in early on dog stuff is like in any, like, what was that? The We Rate Dogs. Is that what it's called?
I mean,
really?
this is a particular millennial thing.
That thing like kills because people are just like, they want to hear in that voice that the person who invented the account like manufactured. What's the dog's voice? Like, what does the dog say? And like, I don't, it's stupid. And like on a scale of 1 to 10, it could be any number on how cute the dog is. Like, that's all it is. And that thing blew up. Like, I think it's bigger than the doggist.
My thing on that is it like, so around the time that those accounts started blowing up, like the range of like age group or whatever that was very interested and online were like of an age when normally, or in the normal cycle of events, they would be having children.
Oh, weird. And
so instead they were getting dogs and cats. So animals blew up on the internet because all of these like these people who would be young parents are like raising animals Pet and owners. Having a relationship with those animals. And so this thing just exploded. And this is a particularly like millennial thing, because people are having children later and later, and they get pets as a stand-in to practice for having children.
Or not at all.
Or not at all.
And then the birth rates go down, and then it becomes Gilead, like in The Handmaid's Tale.
Yeah.
Have you seen that show or heard about it? It's very intense.
What is it called?
The Handmaid's Tale. It's based on a Margaret Atwood book where basically this nation state, and I don't know if it, in the book it arises basically in the United States because the birth rate is so low. It's basically like a more fundamentalist, like religious sort of approach to bringing the birth rate up that's very patriarchal and treating women. It's like it's like breeding processes and procedures that come into place. So there's like different sects of women, and like the women that are proven to be fertile are basically used as handmaids, and they're impregnated, which is effectively rape because they don't want, this is like they're being used to up the birth rate. And like in the TV show, at least, their birth rates are significantly higher than anywhere else on the planet. So they get like attention for this, but it's, I don't know. I mean, the methods by which they do it, it's effectively enslavement. So it's intense, to say the least.
How many episodes until I get into it?
I don't know. It's on the 4th season. I forget even like the beginning stuff. It starts off like where the US is still kind of, it's before Gilead, this new nation forms. So you get to see like the transition, like where people are like, this is crazy, nothing's happening. And then all of a sudden it's like, you're not allowed out kind of thing. Like you're in this nation state and like, I don't
I'm
know.
just telling him the whole thing.
No,
No, I'm
Laying the
like,
scene.
what is that math teacher?
I guess that's how you express those. Yeah. Sorry.
I mean, there's the new.
Oh, the
it's
Breaking Bad.
nuance.
Yeah, that thing takes 5 episodes to get into it.
That
If
one's
you give
me
nerve-wracking in the same
earlier-
He
way.
wants an easy on ramp. He doesn't have time to invest in the whole world. He can't watch a movie.
No, I should know because I always lose the opportunity because somebody goes, you should watch this. And I watched the first, second episode. I'm not getting it. I don't like, why should I continue? When they go, it takes 4 episodes or 3 episodes. And I'm all right, that's the
you
price
go,
I
yeah.
need to pay. Let's just
I
get
don't
through
know
it.
about this one, and I don't know if this one is particularly up your alley.
Yeah.
It's pretty like feminist, sort of like
It's about, I mean,
being
so they,
wary of men in power, sort
Yeah.
of, because it's corrupt power. It's like a, I don't know.
It's
It's dystopian. It's pretty like brutal.
yeah, it's dark.
He
Yeah,
won't watch it.
I mean, so the reality, the anxieties that it is speaking to, right? So there is an anxiety amongst primarily women about like lowering birth rates, right? That's in the zeitgeist. Like,
I don't know if that's a female anxiety. I think the anxiety is that men see it as their business to tell women how and like
maybe in some places. I
when
don't
and
know any
where
of
to
these
use
men.
their bodies.
Sure.
That's
in
the
right.
larger
Yeah.
narrative,
Well, so that anxiety is that those men will get into control, right?
which
And so
at the time Trump was in office, so it was like a sort, I mean, it was
Yeah,
a little
she-
bit hard to watch with Trump
Yeah.
getting voted in, because you're just like, holy fuck, is this
yeah,
starting?
so the art is speaking in giving that anxiety a voice,
Yeah.
right? So that worldview is so bleak and terrible. Like, I get it. It needs to be expressed. It needs to be talked about. Like, it's just for me though, like not on my watch.
I mean, do you want to spend time
and then do I
in
want
that mindset?
And do I have a worry about that particularly? No, mine is expressed alternately. But it is a good look into what that worry feels like.
Yeah.
So it's just nerve-wracking. I don't know. Yeah, this is Breaking Bad expresses a different kind of worry. Like Curb Your Enthusiasm. If I were to watch any anxiety, it would be that.
Mhm.
Like being Larry David or just fucking blowing up the world. Like that's my Handmaid's Tale. It's just not fun to watch. I don't know.
Yeah, I mean, it's not funny.
Yeah, I used to watch the version of this would be, or reading like Cyberpunk. It's dystopian, like technological,
Yeah,
right? Like,
This
oh,
is
if shit
like-
goes wrong, it's gonna feel like this. That's not great.
socio-cultural,
Yeah.
less technological. Yeah.
So I don't know. I don't know
Yeah,
if
it's
worry
interesting,
watching
too.
is the thing, but it's satisfying to have your like fears like embodied in a piece of media.
It's interesting to think of if the birth rate fell so low, and like part of it is that the environment is so bad that women's like health is such that they can't produce babies. Like it's not just women, but like women are the carriers. So like if our environment got so bad, there's no discussion at all in here about like the technical like side of this. Like what can we do scientifically or with some kind of technology to increase the potential for like human life, basically.
Sure.
It's
And
all social, like
well, the
programming.
social technology needs to be upgraded with the technical stuff so that you can
Together.
have a
Yeah.
so you can better understand broad
Yeah.
like
This,
movements and then you can affect those things.
Yeah.
There's like some
this is why
ability to
it's,
do that.
I mean, I guess it's a fantasy then in that regard. It's like sort of one-sided. It doesn't really.
This is part of the solar punk genre thing. Like, what if you had social technology that was like, it's the sensocracy thing. Like, what if there were sensors in the environment that you could speak to, you had a conversation with, and based on that conversation, you can alter behavior like through a trusted medium or whatever. This is like the idealistic, technological social thing. Socio-technological
Sensocracy.
sensocracy. Anyhow, you following any of this?
Honestly, not. I kind of, my
So,
brain is slowly turning off.
yeah, we're getting into the meat.
Yeah.
Anyways, watch that show or don't. It's fine. It's like visually like extremely potent. There's lots
I'm
of
sure
symbolic.
I'm gonna watch the Handmaid's Tale, and we might give it a try.
You should watch Evangelion.
Oh yeah. Do you like
Yeah.
anime?
I don't know. I don't have any opinion on it.
Just
I watched
watch.
it,
So watch Evangelion, the first one.
Yep.
It's on. Well, I don't know what
Amazon.
it's in Thailand. I have no idea where it is, but just stylistically, just look through it. It's cool.
The art is so cool.
Yeah. And it's like 20 years old now.
I really
Amazon
liked
just
it.
put out a new one after 12 years. So it's like back in the cultural imagination again.
Yeah, it's weird. The
Is
thing
it
that they were
called-
tapped into in the when it was first came out is still like it's alive.
Yeah.
Shinji Ito?
available here?
Ikari. No,
Shinji Ikari.
it's annoying.
Evangelion, right?
Yeah.
I like it. The first thing that I got from searching on Google, why is Netflix Evangelion so bad?
Why is it so
They
bad?
maybe did another version of it or something.
Yeah, there's a new one.
Yeah, the new one, I think Amazon produced.
Don't watch the new one though. Watch the first one from the 80s.
Early 2000s, I think, or late
Cool.
90s.
All right, this seems like a drastic change of what I'm not watching anything now.
Put that up on your big screen, project it on the wall. It'll be so cool looking.
Oh, really?
Yeah, it
Yeah,
feels
sure.
like a kaleidoscope of like,
The style is red.
it's so cool.
Yeah.
It's one of those things that if you need to smoke a little and then it all comes to life.
I mean, you don't need to, but
you
you
don't
could,
need to,
and you
but
would just
yeah.
be like, holy fuck. Yeah.
Yeah, I'm curious if you'll be into it. I remember like I watched it when it came out because I had friends who were really into all the anime stuff. And all my designs started looking like this, all tech and weird and robots and fucking like, because like the graphic design in this thing is so good.
Yeah.
Like all the labels and brands and like,
It's very Japanese.
yeah, but it's like super hyper. They had brand designers work in the like world style, people who had that understanding. It's like crazy symbolic.
It's funny. We just watched all of them and I'm like, I kind of want to watch the first one again.
Yeah, the first one's really good. Because the first one like lays out the entire visual language and world.
Yeah.
And then they just play on it from there.
Have you guys watched Akira?
Yeah, it's a similar kind of potency.
Have I? I don't think I have.
No, I don't think I was watching it. Kira's pretty brutal. This one's brutal too.
Yeah, this one is super brutal.
Yeah.
I mean, yeah, it's a similar sort of like dystopian kind of
Yeah.
struggle to survive sort of thing.
Mhm.
I mean, it like The Handmaid's Tale is sort of focused on like this one country that's doing something that is like repulsive, basically. But this one is like the whole world is like on defense and trying to figure out a way of surviving as like the human race. I mean, I guess Handmaid's Tale's doing the same thing, but different lensing.
Extinction anxieties. It makes your problem smaller.
Humans.
That's nice. It's escapism that way, kind of. Don't get to escape too far with these though. All right. I think we call it. I gotta go do some qigong.
Oh, nice. Can you do a video of yourself doing it?
No.
No. He won't let me.
This is how
He's doing it
influence.
right now.
I did it. Yeah, I'll be a qigong influencer. I follow one of those. He has classes and everything.
Is he an influencer or a teacher?
He influenced me to do it. He influences me to do it every day.
Everyone's an influencer.
Can you share a
His
video?
influence is really light. It's for like a really old crowd. And it's mostly like, if you do this consistently, then your bones will hurt less. And like you'll be able to lean over better and you'll live to be 106. So that's the kind of thing that that's how I'm being influenced.
Yeah, if that helps with the bone pain, I probably skipped rope too much.
Probably. Like you
And
said,
I can't
were like-
stand. Yeah.
every day I'm going to do more. You're like, I don't care how many I did the day before, I'm going to do more the next day. And I was like, how long is this going to go on?
Until I break my foot.
Yeah.
And this thing hasn't been functional for the past 4 days.
Your
And
foot?
it doesn't get better. Yeah. I can't stand on one. So I'm like, and
No.
it doesn't go away.
Funny. What'd you do?
Get a new one. I probably pushed myself too hard or something.
Yeah.
Or I just landed on my feet wrong
Yeah.
every time I did it. And I just,
Yeah.
It's a repetitive stress injury. Yeah. I got one of those on my shoulder from doing qigong too much.
what did you do to fix it?
Stop doing qigong.
Yep.
Like,
Let it rest.
I just took it easy on that arm, or I chose things to do that weren't that, or did alternate stuff in the meantime, and then just paid attention to it, like rested, like didn't start up again until it didn't hurt. This is the hardest part because I'm like, it's fine. And then I just re-injure it because I want to get back into the thing. So
Got to give your body time to heal.
yeah, I mean, just patience, basically. It becomes a mental practice then. Like this thing hurts. I mean, you were just going through this with sickness.
Yep.
Just frustrated because you want to get going, but
Yeah.
you just hurt
You
yourself.
can't do it though.
And then you'll be sick longer. So
It sucks when you get out of the sickness enough to recognize that like you're like starting to come back.
Yeah.
It's really hard to be patient then. When you're actually sick, like that's when I know I'm sick because I'm like, I don't care that I'm laying around. And I'm like, yeah, then that something's off. The second like your brain comes back, you're just like, it's okay that you're not at 100%. It's not
Mhm.
expected, but yeah, it's hard.
I wish there was a app that kind of notifies if you are currently running on 60% energy. If you are not performing as well as the other days, don't push yourself, but don't blame yourself too hard or anything.
The aura
Such an
ring.
anxiety trigger.
that aura ring thing can give you kind of that, like journaling helps best with this, but it's a lot of work to build a system.
But that's only for sleeping, or what other metrics is it tracking?
It's tracking HRV, so
Heart rate variability.
which is a relative measure. So like you'll notice trends. You have to capture the data for a little while. I use this thing a bunch and like sort of got a baseline for when I was tired and when I was not. And like, you know, it's only so good, but
Ooh,
it
they
also gives you heart
refund it as
rate.
a jewelry thing.
Yeah.
Jeez, no more taking.
Mm-mm.
Good choice.
Yeah. Yeah, I used it for like 2 years And then until I sort of had a felt sense for what I was trying to track. And I use it every once in a while again, if I'm starting to feel nuts about if I'm recovering properly or whatever. I'm not
Yeah,
exercising.
that's the part. That's why I stopped using the Apple Watch, because I'm like, I get it, but now it's just kind of something nagging me when I'm not burning as much calories, or
Yeah,
when
I
I
get
don't
it
want this.
for that reason. It's sort of like a nanny state on your wrist, and you're like, ugh, like, does it really matter?
I just use it to track my
Yeah.
minimums to make sure that I'm not, I use it as an accountability measure, not like, because I know that I will likely get over whatever minimum I set. But I just check it, like, have I hit the minimum? That's good. And then anything beyond that's great. It's sort of a safety net, whether or not I need the safety net anymore. Like probably soon I won't, because I have a felt sense of what it's like to be in a minimum health state.
Yeah.
So it's training a
Yeah.
felt sense.
Yep.
The Aura Ring can do this with recovery. So like if you know, based on a number that you kind of can feel like that you're going to go do something beyond that number,
You back
the
off
likelihood,
it.
just like, okay, when I feel like this, I shouldn't do the thing. It's just
my God.
training sensitivity, or that's what it did for me.
The Aura Ring's website is a state of art when it comes to selling products online. They just meet Aura Ring, live with Aura Ring, done, shop now.
Yeah.
It's just 2 pages. It's insane. You know how many meetings and how many fights you have to do to get a website for a company to this level? Because they're like, more. I mean, you need more reasons. I mean, resources.
Yeah.
I don't know whatnot. But it's just 2 beautiful pictures. I mean, pages, mostly filled with pages. There's no text. You're like, oh, this thing looks good. And they like take away all of the tech crap from it and just show them some beautiful pictures. And then that's actually what sells. It's just very sad, but here's the ring with a gold background, and here's a ring on a brown background. Looks how cute it looks. I'm done.
Yeah.
They iterated a lot to get there.
Yeah, I mean, I remember how techy it was in the beginning.
Yeah.
They're like the leader in this market too, right?
There's like 2 main products that I know of. That Whoop band, which is more for outdoorsy, like sort of, I don't know, data-minded rich athletes.
Whoop.
And then this one is more for like city tech,
Efficiency, sort of. Yeah.
people who are trying to do what you're talking about, figure out what your energy reserves and stuff are, because when you're pushing yourself this hard, you can lose track of it. So yeah, people who have a tendency to push hard and then have lost track of their bodies. So, I mean, being on computers all the time and like communicating like this all the time does weird shit to your rhythms. So, don't know.
Comparing this to I don't know, what's the other physical product that you can think of that is techie? Oculus? What is it called?
Oculus.
Wearables or anything?
I mean, techie wearable products or physical products, because they're just overcomplicating things, like Apple Watch, actually.
Watch is probably the biggest market competitor. I mean, so you can.
Fitbit was like the early day one.
So Google bought Fitbit, so who knows what they're doing to that.
Running it into the ground.
You can look at things like Whoop. The Whoop band is a direct competitor to, or not competitor, but space.
Competitor. Yeah.
This website is insane. Our Ring is now better than Apple. There goes this one physical product that actually delivers the product in a much better presentation than Apple. Apple's watch page is just nuts.
Actually, Apple's selling like $1 billion worth of these damn things, though. So like, it's scale. Like how big is the market size? What is yeah.
Know why you feel how you feel. Outer Rings copy and everything is. I'm gonna.
You're gonna buy one.
You're just in the target market, which is why also I suggest it to you, right? Or we talk about it, like,
Also, we're working with this health thing, that we are designing this product for health.
yeah. Oh yeah.
Vital.
What's it called?
Vital. Do
Vital.
you guys want to see it?
Yeah.
Here's a quick
Sure.
look. Dun, 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 dun. That was the.
Wedding march.
Well, my version of drum.
Oh yeah,
most
we
of these
yeah, you
products
did show us
are
this.
so complicated. So we just brought it down to today and together. It's just 2 pages. You just slide left and right to get them.
Mhm.
Today being your dashboard of your current state of being. So personal dashboard of how you are feeling and why you feel the way that you do. All of the numbers and what we are tracking is all placeholders. It's just a placement, and there should be something like that in this place. So an overall kind of a score of how you are feeling. No idea how we are actually going about calculating it. Your glucose levels and heart rate on one chart, and then you see the food that you had and the workout and your mood, and then you can see how it actually finding all of these dependencies and hopefully find a pattern in your timelines. Heart rate and everything else that all of these other apps that this app is integrated with. So this doesn't have a device of their own. It's just a hub. It's just a place where all of the data comes to. Yeah, so it just keeps, and because it's just one page, it's a kind of a live type of a feed. So if you're checking at around the time that you usually have lunch, then food would be the priority on that page. And if you're about a time that you should take a nap or workout, then the order of things will change. And this is all of the things that you would care about with your heart rate. So your heart rate would be on your today. You tap on it, this card would come up, and then gives you an overview of everything, every little thing that you possibly need to know. And then you can compare it against a week ago, a day ago, a month ago, a year ago, and see how you are. And you can set kind of goals for yourself, which we're gonna design next. And then see how well you've done compared to the past and how much you have kind of left to meet your goals. And then there's the together part of it, which is we're trying to kind of encourage people to build better habits, which is by doing challenges together.
Yep.
And then the learnings this is more so designed for people that are looking to do self-experimentation with diet, workout, whatever it may be. So they would create, which is why the whole Instagram stuff, you would create kind of stories. These are all created by the company itself, but then later in the future will be created by users too. Snack bite, kind of a snack size type of learnings. And at the end, there will be a challenge that you can participate in to actually see if you get the result that this experimentation is outlining. They can challenge people. So there's a profile of somebody. You can see the challenge they're currently doing. All of the the data they chose to share will be publicly shared here. So if they meditated, it will be posted. I can post a comment along with it or just post it. And there's some leaderboards, some fun stuff trying to make the living a better life a bit more fun. And then some other stuff. We are trying to figure out what's the easiest way to log your food, because it hasn't been any cool product that makes it automated.
Yeah.
Take a picture of your food and
Yeah, there's some of those big apps that do this. They have like
Weight Watcher type stuff.
yeah. Like they've gotten pretty sophisticated with their inputs. I don't know though. Like
But it's really hard to automate, I guess.
Yeah.
Because
Well, I have some
how food is prepared and like portioned and all that stuff is specific.
I mean, it works with the packaged food. because all that stuff is
Yep.
like in a database. But if you make your own food, it's machine learning. Take a picture of it and it knows how much corn is in a thing.
Oh my God. Everything automated.
Mm-hmm. Cool.
Cool.
All right, my final idea that like if all that data is exposed, what I would like to do with it is have a feed of my data coming through sensors and then pushed through some visualization thing so that you could create a sculpture of some type of your data, like in say 3D or something like this, every day, right? And then that thing gets pushed out into a media format and then minted as an NFT. And you can,
There we go.
And then you can 3D print it.
NFT would be part of this.
yeah.
Yeah.
And then you could 3D print it
Mhm.
and have it like as a trophy.
And so you can, and because I'm an influencer, you can own my feeling state for that day. That wouldn't work for me particularly, but like Kim Kardashian could sell that thing for $1 billion.
How do you know? People just want to buy your
Tell
feelings.
their feelings.
I mean,
Wow.
for an influencer who yeah, because you have a data representation of a felt sense that only one person can own.
And only one person can produce.
Yeah.
But it was produced at that. I'm just giving up of understanding NFT, because the other day they go, you just take a picture of all of the artwork and you put it up there, and then it would be the same value as the painting. And if the painting is destroyed by this, you have the NFT. I'm like, stop talking.
I'll send you an article about this. Maybe
Yeah,
it'll help.
yeah. Anything that
Anything.
kind of makes me wake up from this nightmare that we are living in. I
Part
don't get
of
it.
is- yeah, there's a.
I mean,
you
in
have-
some places that it's applied, I don't get it. In other places, 100% get it. But like art, don't do this. It
Just
just
new-
loses its authenticity. Yeah.
It's just new forms of art. The early ones are just going to look like the old ones, but the new ones are going to be only available in that environment. There just won't be a comparable model. This is how you move through these things. The Marshall McLuhan had a thing about this, that the content of a new media is like it has to be the best of the content from the previous media,
Yeah.
right? So like
It's like a bridge.
yeah, like, and then until the new forms are understood well enough to create,
Yeah, because if the predecessor content is coming into the new media form, it's like not a mismatch, but it's not quite right.
it's an on-ramp for understanding, and then it
But
branches out
once
into the area.
The media is like native
Yeah.
to the medium, then and that's like a totally new emergent transcendent thing. It's nothing like you've seen before, and you can't really predict it per se.
Mhm. Anyways,
One thing, blank resident, or first of all, blank resident. What does it tell you?
Blank resident, a blind person living in an apartment.
blank resident, it sounds like a form field on a government document.
It feels like Minority Report. Blank resident.
I should look into that. I mean, it keeps popping up, and I should know what it is.
Yeah, it has like
Minority
implications
Report.
in like
Is it a
design.
thing?
No, I want to start I just want to call the whole clothing experience blank resident, as a name.
Yeah, pretty nihilistic. It
What
feels
is it?
empty, vacant.
Yeah, I mean,
Hollow.
it is. It's just attached, not attached. Can you turn off the aircon? It's incredibly cold in here. Freezing in Thailand.
Good. Means it works.
Just not attaching your identity to the place that you are from. Obviously, that's the one that I'm gonna pick.
Okay.
So blank resident, then I go blank resident or blank residence, and ironically, that's well, not ironically, the domain and social accounts and everything of that was available. I'm like, fuck it, sounds good enough, relatable to the story. But it sounds, yeah, it might sound
So not
like,
identified with home, or not identified with place.
But identified with something else. Like, I think you want connectivity to something, right?
feelings.
Okay. So
I thought you said ceilings at first, and I was like, what? Feelings, connected with feelings. Yeah. I'm not good with
That's a much,
feeling
yeah.
tether.
well, it sounds like you're attached to a
You're connected to it.
does blank
Others,
resident sounds kind of depressing?
what does?
Blank resident sounds depressing.
Kind of. It sounds devoid.
Yeah. Oh, there goes that.
I mean, it depends on if that's what you're trying to, if you're trying to, what is if the felt sense is like, what are you trying to have it feel like
Or like
generally?
any resident or
So you know how French resident or, but
Mhm.
then this would be blank, up to you to decide.
I see.
kind of
Okay.
thing.
So
open resident,
Kind of, yeah.
adaptable resident.
extensible
Meaning
resident.
no borders, nothing that can set us apart, and currently geographical one, and then the whole
Cross
remote
resident.
and how it's
Trans resident,
Ooh.
cross or trans. I mean, this is meta resident. Meta works here.
Meta is not bad. Meta has multiple meanings too. Meta resident.
Meta resident is what you're looking for here.
It's not blank, it's anything. It's
Yeah, it's
multiple
cross,
things.
it's across, it's between, it's amongst. It is.
domain is available, but meta resident, yeah. So what does meta mean?
Like reflective of the process itself. It's like recursive.
Looks cool.
You could also do
Cool.
inter-resident. Meta, I think, is newer.
An interlocutor. All right, we gotta go because we got something in 45 minutes.
Oh, yeah.
All right. Wow, you have another meeting lined up. I'm gonna go to bed.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's your bedtime. Ours is more of a presentation.
Mhm.
We get to sit in.
Oh,
Yeah, we're not
All right.
presenting.
It's easy. Can eat during it.
Mm.
Okay. Bye.
all right. Bye.
Bye.
Bye.